and some or all of these rules if so desired. In-person public comment will be allowed for tonight's meeting. Council chambers capacity will be limited to ensure social distancing. Speakers will be asked to wait outside council chambers until their turn to speak. Eric Smith, our town clerk, will conduct a roll call of council members.
Mayor Cawley.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Present.
Councilmember Fender.
Present.
Councilmember Garamella.
Present.
Councilmember Rao.
Present.
Councilmember Robati.
Present.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Present.
All councilors present.
Thank you. Is there a motion and second to invoke Rule 19?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
And a second from Councilmember Rao. Town Clerk Smith will conduct a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rao.
Aye.
Councilmember Fender.
Aye.
Councilmember Robati.
Aye.
Councilmember Garamella.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Cawley.
Aye.
The motion to invoke Rule 19 passes unanimously.
Before we adopt tonight's agenda, Town Council policy is to review and ensure there are no conflicts of interest or appearance of conflict of interest with any items on the agenda. Would any council member like to share a statement at this time? Seeing none, is there a motion and second to adopt this evening's agenda?
I move that we adopt this evening's agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Councilmember Fender. Town Clerk Smith will conduct a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Garamella.
Aye.
Councilmember Fender.
Aye.
Councilmember Rao.
Aye.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Robati.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Cawley.
Aye.
The motion to adopt the regular agenda passes unanimously.
There is one item on this evening's consent agenda, a resolution to adopt an extension of COVID-19 emergency sick leave. Is there a motion and second to adopt the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
A motion from Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Fender. Town Clerk Smith will facilitate a roll call vote.
Councilmember Robati.
Aye.
Councilmember Fender.
Aye.
Councilmember Garamella.
Aye.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Rao.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Cawley.
Aye.
The motion to adopt the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have three proclamations tonight: a proclamation recognizing National Arbor Day, a proclamation recognizing Earth Day, and a proclamation recognizing Nepal Day. I will now recognize Councilmember Scroggins Johnson to read the first proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight I'm reading the proclamation recognizing April 30th as Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska and is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality at business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas the town of Morrisville is dedicated to making Morrisville a green and environmentally conscious place to live, and whereas the town of Morrisville recognizes the value of planting and caring for trees.
You've been muted. To unmute yourself, press *6.
30th, 2021, as National Arbor Day in the town of Morrisville, and encourages all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now recognize Councilmember Donna Fender to read the second proclamation.
Great, thank you. I think every day should be Earth Day, but we are recognizing Earth Day April 22nd.
Mayor, is there anything else you need?
I think we're good. I think Councilmember Fender is going to read the second proclamation now. Thank you.
I think the mayor is their chamber is muted. Let me unmute them.
Did they hear me? That's number one. I did.
Yeah,
We did hear you,
yeah, I think they
Councilmember
need to
Scoggins
unmute
Johnson.
themselves there.
Yeah. Oh, we can hear you. Thank you, Liz.
Are we unmuted now?
Thank you. Councilmember Fender will now read the second proclamation. Thank you.
All right, this is the proclamation recognizing April 22nd as Earth Day. Whereas Earth Day was first celebrated on April 22nd, 1970.
We cannot hear you.
Thank you. We're
Welcome
looking
back to
address
hybrid
that.
meeting.
Mayor Colley, if we could just hold on for 1 moment.
Okay.
Technical difficulty.
We're going to address our technical issues. We're going to take a quick, we're not going to take a break, but please.
So
be patient.
are they talking? What's happening?
I am unsure.
If you look at it, the chamber phone is muted, and they're trying to unmute that.
Okay.
Can our remote participants hear me now? I'm seeing some head nods. Thank you very much for everyone's
Yes.
patience as we address that issue.
We hear you.
I would like to, at this time, recognize Councilmember Donna Fender to read our proclamation.
Okay, this is a proclamation recognizing April 22nd as Earth Day. Whereas Earth Day was first celebrated on April 22nd, 1970, and whereas April 22nd, 2021 will be the 51st anniversary of Earth Day, And whereas new and continuing challenges, including climate change, pollution, sea level rise, and loss of forests, wetlands, and other wildlife habitats, reinforce the need for adequate protections for the air we breathe, the water we drink, the land we inhabit, and the animals we live alongside. And whereas there is scientific consensus that climate change poses a dire threat to our planet and its inhabitants, and that urgent and unprecedented changes are needed to mitigate its worst effects. And whereas Earth Day reaffirms our responsibility in the global effort to combat climate change and protect our planet for all, and whereas all species play a unique role in the complex web of life and contribute to the ecosystem services on which all life on Earth depends, and hence protecting biodiversity is crucial to the survival of this planet and its inhabitants. And whereas global warming increases and intensifies deforestation, wildfires, floods, rising seas, diseases, droughts, and extreme weather, and whereas it is imperative to recognize and understand alternative ways of thinking about sustainable living and solutions, and whereas it is more important than ever to call for a unified global response, to cooperate locally and internationally to defend the environmental progress that has been heretofore gained. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Morrisville does hereby recognize April 22nd, 2021 is Earth Day and encourages all citizens, businesses, and institutions of Morrisville to participate in Earth Day activities to help protect and restore our planet. Adopted the 13th day of April 2021.
Thank you very much. I will now recognize Councilmember Steve Rao to read the third proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. And before I read this proclamation, I just want to thank the Nepalese community of North Carolina for all they do to make our community a very inclusive and diverse community. All of us on the council, including your colleagues, enjoy working with this community and previous mayors before you. Whereas Nepalese citizens living in the town of Morrisville and in Wake County comprise a significant portion of the Asian demographic, which makes up almost 1/3 of our local residents. And whereas Nepalese citizens play a key role in our community by making significant contributions to the economic and social well-being of the town. And whereas the Nepalese provide cultural diversity to this area with a diverse ethnic background.
Steve, can I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt. Do you have a mic? It's hard to hear you. And I want to make sure this proclamation is heard.
Let me start over. I moved seats. Let me start over. I am now reading a proclamation.
I think we can hear you now.
Sorry. As I said earlier, we want to thank the Nepalese community for their contributions to Morrisville and the Triangle region. This is a proclamation recognizing April 17, 2021 as Nepal Day. Whereas Nepalese citizens living in the town of Morrisville and in Wake County comprise a significant portion of the Asian demographic, which makes up almost 1/3 of our local residents. And whereas Nepalese citizens play a key role in our community by making significant contributions to the economic and social well-being of the town. And whereas the Nepalese provide cultural diversity to this area with their diverse ethnic background, including over 100 different languages. And whereas the Nepalese have been a strong supporter of the U.S. and our allies during the Great World Wars and lost tens of thousands of Nepalese during World War II alone. And whereas Buddha was born in Nepal and the Nepalese community has always been a harbinger of peace, harmony, and tolerance. And whereas the Nepal Center of North Carolina, NCNC, Inc., a nonprofit 501c3 organization established in 1999 and is serving more than 4,000 Nepalese American citizens living in North Carolina. Now, therefore, the Town Council of the Town of Morrisville does hereby proclaim April 17th as Nepal Day in the Town of Morrisville, adopted this 13th day of April 2021.
Thank you very much. Town Clerk Smith will now present any public comments received.
There were 4 comments received for public address. The first comment, Susan Hadery, 1920 Weaver Forest Road, Morrisville. Dear members of the Morrisville Town Council, I would like to go on record as formally opposing another apartment building on Slater Road in Morrisville. We currently have an overabundance of high-density housing being built within the town of Morrisville without the necessary supporting infrastructure. Until we have enough road infrastructure as well as schools, I highly recommend that another high-density project be denied. I am also concerned that in the past, the council has ignored the concerns of the populace of Morrisville with regard to other high-density buildings. In particular, the building behind the CVS at the corner of Davis Drive and Morrisville Carpenter Road. I hope the council will see fit to pause the unfettered building frenzy until such time that we can ensure proper infrastructure. Since I have moved to Morrisville nearly 9 years ago, the traffic has become a nightmare at multiple times of day, and our schools are overcrowded. The second comment, Sarah Lear, 109 Rock Nest Court, Morrisville. Dear Morrisville Town Council, I wish to address my concerns about the pace of development being green-lighted in Morrisville. This is especially timely as you consider allowing an additional 199 housing units to be added at 0 Slater Road. I have lived in Morrisville since 2005. In that time, I have seen an explosion of development, both residential and commercial. Our town's population has at least doubled. This has brought some positive changes and made life here more convenient, but it has come at a cost. One, our roads have not seen major improvements in the time that I have lived here. Many of the main thoroughfares are limited to single-lane roads or become severely choked with traffic at rush hour. This is especially concerning to me as both of our town's fire stations are located in places that will require a fire engine to travel on these roadways to reach my home. I shudder to think what would happen if I were to need emergency services at rush hour. 2, additionally, school development has not kept pace with the increase in town population. I realize that schools are not directly under the control of the town, but it does not appear that appropriate planning and land banking was considered to allow children in Morrisville to attend a school that is near their home. 3, finally, I am saddened that any character that our small town once had or could have had is being erased. If you drive through town, it is not beautiful. We have massive and unattractive apartment complexes on every corner and mile after mile of cookie-cutter housing developments with no trees. Unlike neighboring towns, no efforts has been made to support public arts projects or nurture a downtown area with charm and character. For example, I have to stare at a giant, ugly concrete retaining wall on Morrisville Parkway by the railroad overpass. When someone tags it occasionally, it's actually an improvement over the blank gray wall. If we must have a giant expanse of concrete, could we at least commission a mural or something for the space? I would love to see a committee for the arts in our town, but that's probably a subject for another public comment. If I wanted to live in an area full of high-density housing, I would have chosen to make my home in downtown Raleigh or Durham. I chose Morrisville because I could purchase an affordable home with a yard and actual trees and enjoy a more relaxed lifestyle. However, the unchecked development without consideration for the well-being of those who already live here is very disappointing. You have paid some lip service to affordable housing, but the developments that are being built are all luxury apartments and out of reach for the workers you need to keep our local economy thriving. This is not the first time I made a public comment along these lines, and I doubt it will be the last. Please consider the quality of life issues you create for residents every time you approve another massive development without increasing town amenities and services. Please consider the impact on our precious environment when you pave over every square foot of earth and cut down every tree. Please stop rushing to sell out the people that call Morrisville home to make a quick buck in tax revenue. Sincerely, Sarah Lair. The next comment, Catherine Murrow, 121 Heartsease Lane. To whom it may concern, please reject the proposed 199 apartment development at 0 Slater Road. My family and I do not want any more development, traffic, overcapacity schools, and infrastructure crowding that we are already seeing. We are sick of dealing with these problems already. Stop making it worse. The final comment, Mark Dixon, 1413 Everett Fields Road, Morrisville, North Carolina. I am not speaking on behalf of my seat on the Morrisville Public Education Advisory Committee, and I am not speaking on behalf of the Austin Ridge Middle School PTSA, which I lead. Here's a comment on proposed disc golf course and also the Zero Slater Road proposed development. I disagree with the Parks and Recreation Committee's vote down on the proposed Church Street disc golf course. I think this would be of value to the town. Please consider and add this amenity. I would like a walk in the woods with my kids and friends. Zero Slater Road. I think you may have been given a lot of feedback about this development. Please do not add yet another apartment complex at this site. How about amenities for the town residents instead? There were also 2 comments that were received outside of the submission window. One opposed the proposed amendment to the zoning map for Zero Slater Road, and one asked that council reconsider the proposed Church Street Park disc golf park. All comments were provided to town council in their entirety and will be entered into the public record.
Thank you, sir. Can we quickly check the lobby and make sure there isn't anyone when it wants to do an in-person? Thank you. Seeing none, thank you very much, sir. Moving on, there are 2 action items on tonight's agenda. A proposed major amendment of the Aviation Landing Mixed-Use Plan Development District for 245 Aviation Parkway, and a second reading of the ordinance related to a proposed amendment of the land use plan and zoning map for Zero Slater Road. Elliott Ward, Planner 2, will facilitate both items. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. Can everybody hear me on this?
Does not seem to
Yep,
be
they're
on.
saying yes.
So just as a reminder, for the first item,
Hold on, it's taking its time.
yeah, it's going pretty slowly. For item 2021-24-0, there are no updates currently. The public hearing was held at the March 23rd meeting, and action is slated for this evening.
Okay. Any discussion or comments before we have a motion on the resolution? Okay. I'd entertain a motion on resolution 2021-24-0.
I'm just looking in the chat box, making sure nobody else wants to make a motion. I'm happy to make the motion. I make a motion to adopt Resolution 2021-24-0 pertaining to the adoption of a plan consistency statement for a major amendment and zoning map amendment for the Aviation Landing Mixed-Use Plan Development District located along the northern side of Aviation Parkway and east of Liberty Hill Pass, approved by Ordinance 2018-449-0, Res. 332-2020.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion or comments on this motion? Okay, seeing and hearing none, Town Clerk Smith will do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Rao.
Aye.
Councilmember Robati. Councilmember Robati.
Sorry, aye.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Fender.
Aye.
Councilmember Garamella.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Colley.
Aye.
Motion to approve Resolution 2021-24-0 passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. I see on the screen, were we fine with the statement of the previous motion? Or do we need to read this verbatim?
I believe that was correct.
The way we did it
resolution was read correctly, yes.
Okay. And the next one is the ordinance, so number 2. Is there a motion on ordinance 2021-24-0?
I'm happy to make that motion too. I just need to adopt the ordinance, right? I don't need,
Correct.
okay. Okay, make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-24-0, approving a major amendment and zoning map amendment for the Aviation Landing Mixed-Use Plan Development District, located along the northern side of Aviation Parkway and east of Liberty Hill Pass, approved by ordinance 2018-449-0, Res. 332-2020.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
A second from Councilmember Fender. Any discussion or comments on this motion? Seeing none, Town Clerk Smith will facilitate a roll call vote.
Councilmember Rao.
Aye.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Fender.
Did you skip somebody, like Councilmember Robati?
For this resolution, ma'am? Or for the ordinance? I hadn't.
Typically, we do Rao, Robati, Scroggins, Johnson. I just wanted to make sure you didn't skip her.
Oh, no, ma'am, I hadn't called the name yet. I apologize. And I'm going to start the roll call over just for clarity.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Rao.
Aye.
Councilmember Robati.
Well, don't call on me out of pity. Aye.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Aye.
Councilmember Garamella.
Aye.
Councilmember Fender.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Cawley.
Aye.
The motion to adopt ordinance 2021-24-0 passes unanimously.
Thank you. Mr. Ward, the next item when you're ready, please.
Oh, it was right there. Oh,
Sorry.
that's okay. I was trying to help you out. The computer's moving slow.
Oh, the motion's at the
Oh, you
bottom,
want to go
correct?
all the way to the next?
Yep.
You saw it. It's highlighted.
All right. So the next item is 2021-23-0. Just as a reminder for council and everyone listening at home, this item was, the public hearing was held at the March 23rd meeting, and a vote was taken at the, I apologize, the vote was taken at the March 23rd meeting. Council voted to approve with a vote 4-3. However, in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 160A-75, the ordinance did not reach a 2/3 supermajority, and the ordinance must be reread and voted on again at tonight's meeting. This vote tonight only requires a simple majority.
Any updates on this item?
There are no other updates.
Is there a motion on ordinance? We'll have a motion and a second, and then a chance for comments. Is there a motion on ordinance 2021-23-0?
I'll make that I hereby make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-23-0, approving a zoning map amendment for 0 Slater Road located southeast of the intersection of Slater Road and Carrington Mill Boulevard to the Conditional Business Activity Center zoning district on the north side of Slater Road and the Conditional High Density Residential Zoning District on the south side of Slater Road, Res. 186-2020.
Thank you. I have a motion. Is there a second? I'd like to recognize Councilmember Garamella.
Yeah, I second the motion.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to recognize if any council member would like to discuss the motion or make any comments. Okay. I would like to make a comment at this time. I remain opposed to this rezoning request, which is contrary to the wishes of so many of our informed and engaged residents. One could go so far as to say that all the input from residents on this rezoning has been against it. When I gathered the many emails we received on this item and reviewed them yesterday and today, I was gratified by the engagement and passion of our residents who watched our meetings in order to become informed on this particular rezoning request and took the time to email the council directly to share their desire to preserve the quality of life which brought them here in the first place. Now, there are always pros and cons and trade-offs when our council deliberates and makes decisions on behalf of our residents. And I note we did not receive any emails of the council in support of approving this request, even in light of the benefits which have been listed by the applicant at each meeting. We have heard loud and clear, however, through the land use plan process that our residents, those which have chosen to share their input, are against approving zoning requests for high-density housing in general, and more specifically and more recently, this rezoning in particular. I agree with them that there are not enough positive benefits to the community as a whole to approve this rezoning. I was very clear when I voted in favor of the land use plan that rezonings both inside and outside of the sub-areas would have to be very beneficial to the town as a whole to receive my support regardless of their land use designation. But the important thing right now is for each of us to be focused on representing our residents' interest with this vote tonight. We will each address future applications when they come before us. When I have the opportunity to be part of an important decision like this one, I derive strength from the saying, if not us, then who? If not now, then when? When we approved the land use plan, we made statements about how we would act in the future, and that future is now. At this time, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Robati.
Thank you, Mayor. I also remain opposed to this rezoning. I believe that it is too soon after the adoption of the land use plan to bring more high-density housing into Morrisville. I recognize that the developer has made many concessions. I recognize that they have worked hard to bring this in line with something that we want for our town. I appreciate those efforts, but I think that it is too soon to add high-density housing to Morrisville. I think that we have not even been able to judge the effects on the current construction of high-density housing. I think until we have all that construction completed, we can't do anything about that, but we can do something about this. I think that it behooves us to listen to our constituents and to level set and get to a place where we can understand what the benefit of all the current construction has been before we add more people. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Rao.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank the applicant, and I want to thank all of the citizens who have engaged on this issue, many of them, opposed to the development. I want to be clear from the outset that if this were a 207 or 199 unit, it started at, I think, 237, with no investments in the town, I would be the first one to vote no on this development. But I think one of the things that's not getting out to the public is we've heard the mayor talk about let's wait to catch up with their infrastructure, and I hear the word infrastructure a lot. So I think it's important for us, before we make this decision, to understand a couple of things, because I really believe in data-driven decision-making, where we're basing our decisions and policies on facts, not social media posts and emotional emails, but simply straight numbers and facts. So here's the bottom line. A vote yes for this development is giving us $500,000 into parks, which I think is a significant amount of money, $1 million into our transportation to cover many of the road improvements and sidewalks, another 15 workforce affordable housing units, which marries to our goal of being an inclusive community. And I'm very proud of my colleagues that are standing by putting affordable housing in Morrisville for our firefighters and our police officers and our teachers and our staff. And we were able to hear the concerns of schools, and the applicant reduced the number of double bedroom to single bedrooms. So that would only be 99 units, which could significantly reduce the school issue. Now, I know many of you listening tonight still, that's not going to be enough because you want us to slow down development. And many of the emails I'm reading are asking us to stop all residential development. The thing that I was thinking about, and I've been actually thinking about voting no on this, but the concern is that I would like us to eventually look at the amount of revenue that has been brought into Morrisville and Wake County through development. And if we had that number, whatever it is, we could then look and see how much of a tax investment it would take to reach that number. Because that invests in our roads, our infrastructure, our schools, and Wake County, which, that money could go to schools. So I think it's important for us to understand that it is tempting to vote no, but if we vote no, then we're not going to get a lot of those benefits. The final thing I'll say is I profusely want to thank Steve Lauderdale and many of the engaged citizens who have talked about the overcrowded schools. It is a significant problem. And I think the biggest challenge is that what happens in Cary affects what happens in Morrisville, and what happens in Morrisville affects what happens in Cary. So I would like our mayor and our leaders of the council, including Satish Garimella, who's on the league board now, to reach out to other mayors and municipalities that are our neighbors and have a regional conversation to get our planning departments to coincide where development is, because that would impact the number of schools that we have. Because, and then we have to look at continue to advocate the legislature to take off the cap of class size, which we've done, and ask more school construction bonds from Wake County and the state. The thing is this, nothing that we do is going to solve the school problem today. We clearly have a problem, but I want to work with each of you to come up with solutions. And I want to remind everyone that I was one of the council members who brought up in a meeting, a virtual meeting, to take the high density parcels in the Kit Creek community and move those to low density, because I appreciated the fact that you brought it to the attention and I listened to your concerns. And I just wanted to get that out there, because time and time over the years, when the Kit Creek community wanted Alston Ridge school assignment, many of us went on your behalf to get those things. So I just wanted to say that I get it and I appreciate you all so much. And I understand the anger and frustration from these emails, but I want to end my comments with that and say, moving forward, I would like us to see the council not be put in this position, and maybe we need to get the school issue, we need to address it before this stuff goes through the process, because so much time is going in, and then at the end of the day, we come in and say, we vote no. So I'm sorry I went over my time, but I just wanted to get that out there. But I wanted to also thank all of you, and I want to take from that and try to figure out how we move forward. So thank you.
Councilmember Fender, please.
I think Scroggins Johnson was before me.
You are correct. I apologize. Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, followed by Councilmember Fender. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a few comments this evening about this project. I really do appreciate a lot of the members of our public reaching out and sharing their concerns and thoughts about the growth in Morrisville, specifically about this project. But there was many comments, just frustration is everywhere with the rapid growth in our town. And I know that I take this very seriously, as well as my fellow council members. What we need to think about as we're looking at this project as well as other projects is there a balance? What are we doing to make sure that we are accounting for the traffic congestion in our town, that we are listening and understanding the need for affordable housing in our town? How are we helping the residents and the potential future residents of our town to make it a very viable, high-quality place to live? This project does have aspects that include both a multifamily aspect, a reduced multifamily to 199, as well as some commercial space to make it a vibrant area to live and to work. With the pandemic, we all are aware that we are doing balancing of our life between work and home, and to have this project located in a primarily commercial area, which was behind the old Morrisville Mall, is a balance of having the ability to live and work in the same area. There was a traffic study performed showing that the amount of trips with the residential aspect of this project actually helped the project overall, because traffic congestion is very significant in the peak times in the morning and the peak times in the evening. But with the residential component, that was mitigated somewhat. So there is some value to having residential options in this project. But most compelling to me is the ability to have 15 units of what we call workforce housing. And these units would be distributed to individuals or families that make 80% of the area median income in the Raleigh metro area. Just to give everybody an understanding, in Morrisville, our average median income is about $96,000 a year, which is pretty high. So 80% of that would be the cap for individuals applying for units in this complex. Now, it would only be 15, so it would be blended in the community, and therefore there would be no stigma attached, social stigma and so forth. The town council recently did approve affordable housing policy, and so this would be a way to, in small bits, kind of make some progress on that policy and offer an affordable product. So with the balance of the residential product as well as the office commercial and the affordable aspects of the workforce units, I think that this project is acceptable to me, and I hope that others would see that balance as well. Thank you.
Councilmember Fender, please.
Thank you, Mayor. My comments are from a recent Facebook post I posted yesterday with some changes based on feedback from other people. Tonight, the Town Council will vote on a 199 apartment development at 0 Slater Road. The estimated number of school children for this development will be 69 children. Because of this, I would like to make 3 points. One, this potential development is on top of the 300 apartments at Bainbridge Aviation and McCrimmon. It's also on top of the 263 apartments for Broadstone Trailside at Church and McCrimmon. In addition, the 250 apartments behind CVS by Alta Morrisville that previous town council approved a zoning change on that one. And the 318 apartments Dominion Realty has already built at Residence Shiloh Crossing, and accounted up 278 new townhomes amongst multiple subdivisions. All of these developments are already in the pipeline, and a few of them, they were built by right. They did not need to ask for approval. Alta Morrisville came up before previous town council, and we had the choice of opposing that with there was a lot of feedback opposing it from the community, and yet the town council approved it. So all of these developments are already in the pipeline, and using the same ratio as above, these developments will add approximately 400 additional kids to our surrounding schools, same schools that are already capped. I asked my fellow council members, where do you plan on putting these additional 469 children? 2, Dominion Realty asserts they are part of the community based on them building the 318 apartments. When I dared question Dominion's development attorney, Neil Ghosh, on this notion, he stated he was miffed by my question and did not like my tone. I'm uncertain why an individual 6 years out of law school would feel so entitled to say he was miffed and did not like a council member's tone, which he is in front of petitioning for approval. But frankly, Mr. Ghosh can be as miffed as he wants. The fact is that building 518 apartments does not make someone a part of the community. When Mr. Ghosh and Mr. Carlino move to Morrisville and need to send their children to public schools that are capped, then they can say they're part of the community. Third, some town council members will say that Dominion is investing a lot of money to improve the intersection and for the parks payment in lieu, and we should be grateful. Don't be fooled. Dominion is not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts. These improvements in the PPIL payment are required by our UDO. PPL is given in place in lieu of the developer providing green space in the apartments. Dominion could still make these improvements without building apartments. They choose not to. Revenue could still be obtained by a different kind of development. It does not need to be apartments. I will end with this. How many apartments will be enough? Morrisville has more than their fair share of apartments. If the area needs apartments, it doesn't mean Morrisville needs to provide every single one of them. Working with the Cary Mayor and others take time. The town council has power tonight to take action and deny these apartments. Bainbridge, we had no choice. They built 300 apartments on the corner of Aviation and McCrimmon, and it looks like a concrete wall going down the street. Broadstone Trailside was already zoned for apartments, and we had no choice in that. Alta Morrisville, the town council did have a choice, and they voted to approve that development. There will be other apartment buildings built in the town of Morrisville in areas that are zoned already, regional activity center, business activity center, or neighborhood activity center. We will still be building apartments, whether we want it or not. But this is a example where we can actually exert some sort of control. You may say, oh, well, it's only 69 kids, or it's really not going to be that many. Well, when a school is capped, one additional kid is too many. We're already going to have kids coming from Bainbridge and Broadstone Trailside in the townhomes. We do not need to make the situation worse. We actually have some control here, and we need to exert it and not approve every single development. So I ask, when will town council listen to our residents? We had a deluge of comments saying the exact same things during the land use plan. We've had a multitude of emails in the past couple of weeks opposing the additional apartments. Don't say you're concerned about schools and congestion and then still approve this rezoning. As I said when we were going through the land use plan, I am baffled why this needs to be so hard by the town council. We need to be listened to our constituents, and they are concerned about infrastructure and schools. And the past town councils, the past few years, we have not been listening to them. So I will end with this. Where are we going to put the kids? Tell me that. Where are we going to put all these school children? Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, please.
So I too want to thank all the residents who've reached out via email, to those that called me, to those that took my call, and those that agreed to meet with me to discuss these very complex and important issues that we deal with and are before us now. You know, some may see this as a simple, it's a rezoning. Just say yes or no. And I will tell you it's far more complex than that. And I've also said repeatedly over the last few years that rezonings will not be easy in the town of Morrisville. They will be more difficult as this one is, and they will require more from development as this one does. So I want to thank those that took the time to chat with me, and I'm hopeful that I can get to everyone that has contacted me and emailed me and council as well, and that we will have the opportunity to sit down and talk because, again, these are complex, important issues that we need to talk about and to really understand the pros and the cons of every decision we make. And as council members and I do, I take these decisions very carefully and I balance all those pros and cons very carefully. I do not take any of these issues lightly, and I know those folks that know me know that. I want to make sure that the public understands and knows that on February 23rd, this council adopted a land use plan that set out a vision for our community. And that was a vision that was determined over a 3-year process that took a lot of input into account, a lot. And when we adopted unanimously that plan, all 7 of the council members on this council today were here on February 23rd. We chose to make this area both an area for an office building and for residential units, multifamily residential units. And so at the same time as we were making that decision on February 23rd, we knew this application was coming through. And so we signaled, I think, by that unanimous vote, we signaled to this applicant that we were okay with a development like this in that area. At least that is what it signaled to me. I can't speak for the rest of us. And so balancing all of this very carefully, taking into account all of our community needs, some that are competing against one another, some of our goals that we have set out for our community compete with one another, having taken all that into account and weighed it very carefully, weighed the impacts of traffic, the impacts of the school system, the impacts of the parks and the need for more parkland and amenities in our community, as well as the concerns of all of our residents, all of them. The resulting conditions required on this rezoning include road improvements that will not come any other way unless we as citizens pay for it. The conditions on this rezoning included a significant reduction, in my opinion, in the number of residential units. It also included affordable housing and workforce units that I think are incredibly important. I've heard even this weekend from a resident how affordable housing, whatever type, is so desperately needed in this community. This project will include some. It will not solve our problem, but it will include some affordable workforce housing units. Another condition was increasing buffers, and then of course the parkland payment in lieu that several of us talked about. And then the one last thing that is important for me to kind of mention, and all of these issues are important, but our number one issue here in the town of Morrisville from the day I first got elected was traffic congestion, from the day. And most of you did not live here then because your subdivisions were not adopted then. Our traffic has always been a concern, has always been something that that councils have tried to address to the best of their ability, knowing quite well that the majority of our roads here in the town of Morrisville are state-owned roads. It is critically important if we think we are going to solve our congestion problems, and many of you have heard me say this before, we cannot pave our way out of this. We are not going to be able to pave our way out of this. The solution to our traffic congestions is a multimodal solution. We need to have transit opportunities here in the town of Morrisville, which we are constantly working on, and we are closer to now more than ever. But it also needs, part of the solution for our traffic congestion needs to be land use decisions. Approving this one project that offers residential opportunities close to the tens of thousands of employment positions that are in the town of Morrisville alone is a good fit. And I am not even talking about the tens of thousands of cars that drive through here every day so folks can get to Durham, or folks can get to the section in Cary that's actually right off Aviation or Airport Boulevard where there are office buildings. My hope is that this development will give the opportunity to some of those young folks or anybody to live close to work. That's all I have right now. Thank you.
Okay, 6 of us had our first round of comments. Would anyone like to make a first comment before we have a second round? Seeing none, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rabadi for another comment. And anyone else who wants to make a comment, please raise your cards. Councilmember Rabadi.
My concern about schools goes beyond the 340-odd children that are coming in current Morrisville development. It also includes all the surrounding development in Cary, because I've seen with my own eyes what happens when too many children start crowding into a Morrisville school or a Morrisville adjacent school. And what happens is a big development like Breckenridge, my district, Breckenridge gets picked up and moved out to some farther away school. The last time we had a school reshuffle, Breckenridge was assigned to Peace Elementary School, which was a 45-minute bus ride from most of Morrisville. This is what happens when our schools are capped. Soon the surrounding schools will be capped, and when that happens, it's always the kids in these bigger developments, like Breckenridge, like Kitts Creek, that get picked up and moved. And I am so reluctant to add any more pressure on an already groaning school system here in Morrisville. I just continue to believe that it is not the right time for this development. Thank you.
Councilmember Rao, please.
Yeah, I just want to re-emphasize the point, 2 points that Mayor Pro Tem made. First, that it was unanimously adopted on the 23rd. I forgot to mention that, but we did all adopt the plan, and this use of rezoning is consistent with that. But I just want to make a point about something she said, which I think is really, really important for the long-term future of Morrisville, and that's, we often forget that just if you look at the public companies in North Carolina that the TBJ listed last year, out of 99 public companies in North Carolina, 10% are in Morrisville. Lenovo, Cisco, IBM, Syneos Health, Chandler Advisor, they're all in Morrisville. And many of them are now in the pharmaceutical industry. So Fujifilm Diosynth, has been in the news with the pandemic. And so I think, just like, I looked at some numbers. I mean, like Cisco has 5,000, Credit Suisse 1,500, Cree 2,000, Oracle 500. So all these people are working. And I think that having this kind of housing close to those work centers is a good thing for Morrisville, because otherwise, like Mayor Pro Tem said, they're going to go somewhere else and live. And I feel like that's sometimes already happening in Morrisville, where people are leaving to go to West Cary and things like that. So I think, this is unfortunate that it was outside of the sub area, but, like moving forward for me, that's an important thing for us to consider, is that there's a place where this multifamily would fit in. And of course, there's still the concern of schools, but this whole idea of live, work, play. So having residential close to where people are working and attracting that younger demographic is going to be better economically for us long time as we compete with, other local jurisdictions around us. So I want to thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson, for making that point. Thank you.
Okay. I would just say that for a long time now, councils have been trying it that way, and that's what's gotten us to where we are now. So if we want things to be better, we need to change the way we're doing things. So looking for any other comments at this time? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second on the table. Town Clerk Smith will please do a roll call vote.
Councilmember Fender,
Nay.
Councilmember Garamella,
Aye.
Councilmember Rao,
Aye.
Councilmember Robati,
Nay.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Aye.
Mayor Cawley.
Nay.
The motion to approve ordinance 2021-23-0 passes 4-3.
Thank you. We are now at item 10, public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Ward, for both of those. We appreciate your work. There is one public hearing on the agenda, consideration of text amendments to the Unified Development Ordinance related to Chapter 160D of the North Carolina General Statutes. Chris Lawson, Planning Manager, will present the item prior to the opening of the public hearing. Mr. Lawson.
All right, good evening, Council. First, I'll do my brief, and then we'll do the public hearing, if that's okay. Jeannie, how do I get to the presentation?
You want to give me a second, Chris, I'll get you there.
Okay.
Is this it?
That's it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, so tonight I'm presenting EO text amendments, the majority of which are related to a reorganization of the North Carolina General Statutes. This group of text amendments is identified as Chapter 160D. That's the name of the statute chapter, and these are considered mandatory. On top of these amendments, there are a number of staff proposed amendments which we consider to be mostly cleanup, and these are at council's discretion. So while most of Chapter 160D is simply a reorganization of the statutes, there are some process changes that were added. I'm just going to briefly note these. So the first one is that a land use plan amendment will no longer be required for rezoning applications that are not consistent with the land use plan. So previously, if council heard a rezoning and the application for rezoning was not consistent with the land use plan also had to be separately amended, though we did it on the same night. Now you would not hear a land use plan amendment simply if council felt that the rezoning was could be approved, then the land use plan is automatically amended and staff would take care of that. The second part is that consistency statements are no longer required in order to take action on zoning amendments. There will still be a brief statement by council or by the Planning and Zoning Board that's acknowledged by council, but you will no longer have the formal consistency statement that we've had in the past. And the last bullet point talks to what the previous item you heard tonight, that ordinances must be adopted by a simple majority upon first reading. There will be no need for a supermajority on first reading. If a rezoning ordinance has simple majority, it will be approved on the first reading.
Mr. Lawson, do you want questions at each point or wait to the end?
because we're doing some principal use table changes later, and I feel like you'll have more questions there, let's take questions for each slide if you'd like.
Okay, I have a quick question on this one. For these three, these are all required by the state legislative changes. These are not just to make things
Correct.
more streamlined. This is, we have no choice on these three.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions about these? Seeing none, go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, I'll just provide a broad overview of these amendments. As you just said, these are state mandated. Really, a lot of it is just updating the references to the state statutes. Previously, most of the town's authority was in Chapter 160A. Now it's Chapter 160D. Again, ordinance terminology and definitions were amended to comply with these statutes. The conflict of interest standards were expanded to include town staff. So, acting as town staff, I could not take action on a plan that I would have some kind of financial benefit or other familiar relationship with an applicant. The final bullet point on this slide we'll get into later. It removes conditional use districts from the principal use table, and staff has recommended adjustments to the principal use table. The final changes, whether the use switches from conditional use to either permitted, not permitted, or a special use permit, will be at council's discretion. A few other subdivision procedures are aligned with statute requirements. Our various variance standards are amended to meet the general statutes. There's a 30-day deadline to file an appeal of an administrative decision. Enforcement actions, including fines, are paused while waiting the outcome of an appeal. So these next group of amendments are completely at council's discretion. And again, I'll just kind of read them. Mobile classrooms, these are proposed by staff. The mobile classrooms would be a permitted use instead of requiring a special use permit as they currently are required. Requiring the renewal of a home occupation permit every 3 years. Currently, the UDO is unclear and we do not have a standard time period for renewal. We simplified the signage standards for electric vehicle charging stations. We've removed multifamily dwelling as a permitted use in the commercial corridor zoning district, and we've amended the definition of a sports academy. So the next, I think 4 or 5 slides are show the recommended changes, staff recommended changes to the use table. I don't plan on going through each slide. If council has a question about a certain use, be happy to cover it. We can come back. The Planning and Zoning Board did review these changes fairly thoroughly, and I'll just continue and we can come back if council would like to talk about a certain use. So the Planning and Zoning Board recommended 2 changes to the staff recommended discretionary text amendments. The first one is to, for multifamily dwellings, equal to or below 50 dwelling units be classified as a use requiring a special use permit in the RT and TCR zoning districts. So previously, multifamily dwellings in these 2 zoning districts were a conditional use. Staff recommended to make them a permitted use. The Planning and Zoning Board recommended that they be required to have be permitted a special use permit for those 2 zoning districts. The other recommendation the Planning and Zoning Board made was to continue to require a special use permit for mobile classrooms. As part of these amendments, staff had proposed that mobile classrooms be permitted by right across every zoning district. The PZB recommended to continue to require a special use permit for these. And my next 2 slides just indicate kind of more of what they recommended. So here, again, under 50 dwelling units for multifamily would be staff proposed just to make permitted. PZB recommended a special use permit is more appropriate. And then under the temporary use table, PZB recommended that mobile classrooms remain requiring a special use permit.
So Chris, can I ask a quick question about that for a minute?
Yes.
Maybe you haven't evaluated this, but leaving dwelling in multifamily equal to or below 50 as a special use permit or not, how often do you think that would come up in these two zoning districts? Do you have any feel for that?
Yeah, and let me back up and explain. So you can, I know the slide's small, but staff recommended over 50 dwelling units just to not make a permitted use, so they would not be allowed. We recommended under 50 dwelling units because the TCR and the RT zoning districts are closer to the town center. We felt it was appropriate to allow some flexibility to have multifamily closer to the town center. But it is not part of the town center. Let me be clear about that. As far as what we can expect from this, there's not a lot of current zoning those two zoning districts are almost built out. However, there are several parcels that we could see a special use permit be applied for a multifamily apartment. I'm not aware of any pending applications. I have not talked to any developers that are interested in moving forward with something like that at this time.
Okay.
But it is a possibility.
Thank you.
And that's the end of my presentation. I'd be happy to review anything else. Again, tonight we'll have a public hearing. Next meeting, I'll provide any updates needed, and then I think we have scheduled just preliminary action on May 11th.
So I have a quick question for slide 4. So I just want to be really clear. Does this mean conditional rezonings are going away?
No, so let me clarify this a little more. That's a very good question, though. So if you'll see on this slide, we list all the principal uses throughout the town. There are Ps, which stand for permitted by right. There are S's, which would require a special use permit. Most of these are more your industrial type uses. And then there are C's. So let's say on this slide, thanks, Jeannie. If you own property that was already zoned in the TCR zoning district, but you wanted to build multifamily, this would have required you to still come before council to rezone that property to a conditional TCR zoning district to build multifamily. That is no longer permitted. The council would have to either make it a special use permit, allow it by right, or just simply not allow it. So throughout the state, conditional uses have been removed. However, conditional rezoning is still a separate application that we'll receive.
Okay, because that was one of the guardrails they were looking for when we were talking about the land use plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to make sure that conditional rezoning still exists for our use as a guardrail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did anyone else have
Mayor, if I could chime in just a little bit in support of Chris on that. Our UDO was constructed and it allowed a conditional zoning district, which I don't think I've ever seen as long as I've been town attorney. But it was allowed under the UDO. Instead, we have gone through myriad conditional use rezonings on a parcel by parcel basis. That stays unchanged. The conditional zoning district has been taken away, and Chris is putting the conforming changes in our UDO.
Okay. Thank you. So could you go over once again what TCR stands for and what RT stands for?
Sure.
Those two?
Let me grab my definitions. The TCR is a town center residential zoning district. Some developments you'll be familiar with in this district are along Church Street. They're the Myers Point, Hampton Place, Northampton townhomes, a similar style. The RT is the residential transition district. And this is going to be developments you're familiar with. There is Thornberry subdivision right here across the street. The Chabad rezoning was rezoned to RT, and it's a lot of stuff along aviation. And it's really designed to, UDO says, allow a range of housing choices within proximity to the town center, generally along the aviation parkway corridor.
Okay. Thank you very much. Looking around, does any other council member have any questions or comments about what they've heard tonight? Councilmember Fender, please.
would just like to comment that I don't agree with the Planning and Zoning Board's recommendation to keep the special use permit for the mobile classrooms.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no others, okay. At this time, we can go ahead and open up the public hearing. So I declare it open. Town Clerk Smith, do we have any public hearing comments? Okay, could we check the lobby and make sure there isn't anyone in person for that, please? Thank you, sir. Okay, so this is the first time we have been briefed on this item, and might be the first time for our stakeholders who watch meetings for their first pass on new information. They might be learning about this agenda item for the first time themselves. So I personally am not in favor of closing the public hearing at this time, but it is up to us as a council to determine when we wish to close it. So if there's any discussion on that point, or I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So on this particular item, I'd be in favor of closing the public hearing tonight.
Any other comments before I have my second round of comment? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to recognize Councilmember Robati, please.
Yes. Mayor Pro Tem, would you mind expanding a little bit on why you would be in favor of closing the public hearing tonight? I was in favor of not closing it tonight, but I would like to hear your reasoning. Thank you.
So, and either way, I'm fine, but I don't think we're going to have any comments in 2 weeks. And the public can always contact us through email, phone calls, emails to town council if they want to weigh in. But I am, for this particular item, I would be okay with closing it tonight and then taking comments as they come if we need them. Does that help?
Yeah, so you just don't think this is likely to be a high comment generation kind of issue?
I don't. That's, yes, that's
okay.
A quick way of saying it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your clarifying that.
Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson, please.
Yes, I just wanted to verify that Mayor Pro Tem Johnson did make a motion to close the public hearing. Is that correct?
I did not hear a motion at this time.
Okay. Okay. She was discussing whether or not she was either way then. Is that it?
Yes. And I think,
so I'll make, it's hard, the hybrid format is hard, but I would like to maybe say a comment since I opened this up. We did not receive any speakers for this hearing, and this item mostly is containing mandatory changes by the legislature for us, and we have very few discretionary items, and we didn't get any public feedback even though this agenda was posted. So I would be in favor of closing the public hearing since we did not receive any speakers or email comments for this item.
I'd like to recognize Planning Director Stiegel at this time, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to remind the council that if you do choose to close the public hearing, that we need to leave it open for 24 hours. So standard practice, we've left it open until midnight tomorrow night.
Anyone else want to make a first round comment? Okay, I'll have a second comment. I do also believe that generally this is an item that's not going to have a lot of comments. I think that the mobile classroom item would probably get some input from our residents, and for transparency, I think it'd be important to give people the opportunity to be part of the official record on this item as a public hearing An example is a recent rezoning that we just passed where there were no comments at that first public hearing. We opened it and closed it that same evening, and it was 2 weeks after it was first briefed, so that's fine. But we've had lots of comments after that that were not part of the official record. So I would be very leery of ever opening and closing a public hearing on our first reading. So that's my rationale for that. I think it would set a precedent for future rezonings, which might be a problem for us, because I think we all value transparency so very much. Okay. I'd now entertain a motion or not. Would we need a motion to keep the public hearing open, or does it just stay open?
Mr. Mayor, I'd say you'd need a motion to close it. So if there's no motion to close it, then it would carry over to the next meeting.
Okay. Giving another moment for a motion. Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Lawson. We'll see you in 2 weeks on this item, correct?
See you then. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are at item 11, new items. We have one new item on tonight's agenda, a resolution appointing Citizen Advisory Committee members. Eric Smith, Town Clerk, will facilitate the item.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of council. As you know, official recruitment for the spring Citizen Advisory Committee appointments began on March 15th and closed on April the 5th at 5 p.m. To ensure a fair process for all applicants, those applicants that submitted their applications after the deadline will be kept on file for appointment consideration during the next appointment cycle. During this appointment cycle, we did receive 5 new applications for appointment, and there were 14 eligible applicants remaining from the previous appointment cycle. Staff did verify that all the applicants were residents and resided in the town of Morrisville. On April the 9th, council received an email that included the application packet and electronic ballots for appointments. Council is asked to return those completed ballots to the town clerk no later than April 20th at 5 p.m. for initial tallying. The results of the initial tallying will be announced at the April 27th meeting, and council will be also asked during that meeting to take action appointing the selected applicants. During that meeting, we will also facilitate runoff balloting if necessary. As always, the ballots are going to remain as a part of the public record, and as a part of the agenda item, they will be added to the agenda item following the initial tallying. The full application packet, while provided to council via email, was not included in the publicly accessible agenda packet, but will remain archived in the office of the town clerk for public viewing in alignment with North Carolina Public Records Law. And there were 2 areas related to the balloting that I wanted to provide some clarification on. Per the balloting language that council developed, council is asked to select up to the number of current committee vacancies. For example, in reference to the Public Safety Advisory Committee and the Senior Advisory Committee, both of these committees have vacancies that equal the number of eligible applicants. We do want to make sure council understands that they are not obligated to select all of the eligible applicants in an effort to fill the committee vacancies. Council, at your discretion, you can leave all the committee slots vacant. You can leave one of the committee slots vacant. You just shouldn't feel pressure that you have to select all the applicants because they kind of equal out. MESC has 4 vacancies with 2 eligible applicants. And once again, council may choose to leave the remaining vacancies unfilled into the next scheduled appointment cycle, or you could also extend the recruitment with some type of targeted outreach to try and fill these remaining vacancies. And I think that's all for my presentation. Were there any questions from council?
Do any council members have any questions or comments about what we've just heard?
So Eric, I just have one question, and we could take this offline. But one of the applicants is listed here under one committee as a viable applicant. And he had indicated to me that he reached out to you, or was going to reach out to you, to say he would be amenable to another committee. Can he still do that? Or did he do that? Because I only see him listed once.
If you were, I don't know if you want to speak on it during the meeting or offline, but if you could provide me the name, I could certainly get that to you.
Circle back to him. Okay.
I don't recall anyone doing that because I would have requested them to submit the application through the proper channels, but I can certainly get a response to that question for you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
To follow up on that, would we as a council be amenable to that if that was that person's intention, to let them add committee choices? Just throwing that out there. Do you have any response to that, Mayor Pro Tem? Is that something?
I would like to figure out whether he did or did not try to contact Eric first, and then we could kind of go from there. But if they would, their application came in time, and if they asked for just a change to their applications or the committees they were going to apply for, I'm okay with that. That doesn't mean they're going to get what they want, or maybe we see applicants all the time that say, I'm interested in 2 committees, but I'll take either one. So I'm fine with that. And then, council can choose what we want to do. And actually, so that brings up another question. Then you said there was an extra seat opening on, I think it was MESC, right?
MESC has 2 eligible applicants and 4 vacancies.
Okay, right. So council could choose to appoint. Well, you wouldn't want to do that unless they wanted to. Never mind. I answered my own question.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay. So to finish that, yeah, as long as we'd be given enough time to make a decision before the 20th.
Understood.
So you can still meet that timing, if you can clarify that.
Yeah, now I could clarify, but if I could get a timeline, only because I need to update those electronic ballots across the board and get those out to everyone. So I can definitely touch bases with you tomorrow, and we could see if he submitted that information.
Thank you.
I'd like to recognize Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, please.
Yes, thank you. I actually had one of the applicants reach out to me during the application process and expressed some confusion about how the form was to be completed. It's a rather long form. We've added a lot of detail and questions in good faith because we wanted to collect more information, but the problem is it's a really long form and there are required fields and non-required fields, but it only saves when you hit submit at the very end. And I can see where applicants can get confused or make some errors. Once the submission is complete, they do not have the opportunity to make any changes when it's fully submitted. They can only make changes if they're saving it and not completing it. It's kind of like do you want to save and then go back kind of thing. So if someone wanted to make a change after it was fully submitted and let the clerk know, I'm in favor of letting them make some changes. So it's not easy, and we want to be as flexible within reasonableness because we do have to make the ballots very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And in regards to the 2 extra vacancies, I think that a lot of people are going to become interested in MESC over the next month, especially after the presentation we're going to be hearing later. So I would just encourage them to go ahead and apply now for our next round and attend the meetings virtually or whatever, or provide their input into that group. And then they could be part of the next full process. If other council members want to do some targeted outreach, however, I'd be open to hearing about that. Okay. And seeing none at this time, if you could do what you can to figure out that one outstanding thing. And
just a question for clarification. Would we need to get consensus from council on whether they wanted to allow the applicant to make those changes to his application? That way tomorrow I can go ahead and develop the new electronic ballots and send them to council if he wants to make that change.
I would be okay. Why would you, if anyone has a problem with the town clerk doing that, why don't you go ahead and speak up now? So we'll do an opt-out on that one.
Only because I would have no way to get the consensus via email
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. So I think that gives you the flexibility to move forward with doing that. I haven't heard anyone who has an issue with that. So thank you, sir. Thank you for bringing that up, Mayor Pro Tem. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Town Clerk Smith. We're now moving on to item 12, administrative reports. There are 4 administrative reports tonight: a grant opportunity review program update, a pop-up dog park overview, a pop-up disc golf course overview, and an economic development quarterly report. Administrative reports are provided as information-only items unless council has questions. Are there any questions at this time? I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rao, please.
Yeah, my question to staff, and I'm drawing a blank on the grant report, but are we continuing, now that we got our Smart City Steering Committee and everything going on, are there going to be opportunities to go after more Smart City grants, things like that?
Yeah, yes, I think what we're trying to demonstrate by the grants report is that we are actively looking for grants across all the service areas of our organization and have someone that's working on, along with the departments, about identifying and working with departments to make them aware. So I think the answer is yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a really exciting opportunity for the Park and Rec area to have the ability to assess and do due diligence on 2 areas. And I had a question during the retreat on exactly what was being proposed by the committee, because we simply had like dog park and disc golf and basketball. And I was informed about the pop-up opportunities. I would like to request that not only do we look at usage of these pilot pop-up activities, but I'd like to know more about the impact on our parking in these locations, the impact potentially with use on our current park programming. Is there a lot of interest from residents as well as regional interest, because that's important. Are there leagues kind of thing? Obviously, there's not going to be a dog league, but we do want to understand a little bit more about the impact on a dog park and programming, as well as the disc golf.
Thank you. Assistant Manager Zudema.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilmember Scroggins Johnson. Good points. We are considering all of those. We are aware of the interest and need to particularly evaluate resident versus non-resident use. So we will be tracking that with both the pop-up dog park and, to the best of our ability, with pop-up disc golf. In all candor, the parking, we will look at that, but with the dog park, we're of course keeping that rather limited in use because of the field that we're going to be on. And then the pop-up disc golf course, will be at Cedar Fork. So we'll be able to generally monitor that, but that won't be a staffed activity per se. That's part of the advantage of doing it this way, is that we can provide the opportunity without having to staff it for all the hours that it might be available, which essentially is sun up to sundown. But we hear your feedback. Thank you, and we are looking at each of the areas that you mentioned.
Any follow-up, Councilmember Scroggins Johnson?
Well, one of the concerns that I have is that if we're going to introduce permanent activity locations, parking right now at the majority of our parks is rather full because we program a lot for it. Church Street Park has always been a very difficult park to have parking, and we're working towards expanding that, but that's pretty difficult. And the community park with the expansion that we're going to be working on, parking will become an issue there as well. So I'm just very sensitive to parking in general, and hopefully we'll have everyone enjoy the greenways and access parks that way. But I'm mindful if there's peak activities or events that parking is always a challenge. So thank you.
Yes, sir. I would say that, again, we fully recognize that Church Street Park has some limitations in terms of parking capacity. That is absolutely a factor that's under consideration with the discussion of the potential for a permanent disc golf course there. And then in terms of the dog park, certainly parking is a factor. We've had some discussion about that in terms of where we might go with a permanent dog park. We also have the ability to look at other municipalities for both of these activities to evaluate what use there is for parking and factor that in as well. But absolutely hear you that we need to continue to look at that. Thank you.
Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson, all set?
No, that's fine. It's just, as someone who enjoys the parks, by driving to some of the locations and using the greenways, I just want to make sure everybody has access and can enjoy the amenity that they need to go to.
A very valid concern, and that'll be considered. This is the start of the process for both of these. I'm very excited. Councilmember Fender, please.
I had a question on the grant tracking tool. The spreadsheet, I think it's at the end of that last page of that section. Yes, that one. The rows that are highlighted in red that you're not planning to apply, a lot of them say didn't have time or, missed the deadline. Is there an intent to apply next year with these, possibly?
Some of them are. Some of them come up each year. And as I continue to search for each of these, I will reach back out to each department with these.
Okay. All right. Yeah, because there's some of these that look pretty good, like the VW settlement charge program for electric vehicle charging stations and the backyard composting and the Office of Violence Against Women grant. So.
Yeah, and some of these are just timing issues. And so as I'm researching, sometimes I will find something and realize we only have 2 weeks. And staff, that's just not enough turnaround time for staff. So.
Yeah, okay. I understand. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then I just wanted to comment on I love the idea of the pop-up dog park and the disc golf. I think it's a wonderful idea to give the residents an opportunity to try that out and for the staff to be able to evaluate the logistics. I think that's a cool idea.
I'm sorry, I want to ask Ms. Rabb, for those who don't have an agenda in front of them, if you could just identify yourself and your role. Thank you.
My name is Dawn Rabb, and I'm the Budget and Management Analyst.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate all the hard work that went into this. Councilmember Rabati, please.
I also love the pop-up dog park and the pop-up disc golf. My only concern is trying to take a situation where I think that a pop-up is a good vehicle for getting, for gauging interest somewhat. But I also think that, we want to be careful in how we extrapolate data based on who goes to a pop-up disc golf course, a pop-up dog park, where, as Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson said, parking may be an issue. There may be other factors. We won't have it staffed all the hours that we would have a regular amenity. So I do think that we should, definitely avail ourselves of any data that comes out of the pop-ups, but I also think that we should continue to work toward getting a bigger picture of what participation in those amenities is likely to be if they were permanent. So that was my thought. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you very much for sharing. Looking for other comments on the administrative reports or questions? Okay, great. Lots of hard work being done by staff. We really appreciate all those reports, and also the Economic Development Quarterly Report from Linda Frenette, Morrisville Chamber of Commerce. That looks really good to us. At this point, we'll move on to item 13, presentations. We have two presentations tonight, a sustainability program update and a Connect Morrisville Strategic Plan Engagement and Feedback Summary presentation. Giselle Rodriguez, Public Works Director, and Kimberly Conley, Sustainability Coordinator, will make the first presentation.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council. Thank you for the opportunity to come before you tonight to do this very timely update on sustainability. Before I turn it over to Kimberly, I would like to officially introduce you to her, give you a little background about her. So Kimberly started with the town last November. She comes to us with 10 years of experience in clean energy and sustainability. Prior to the town, she served the North Carolina State University Clean Energy Technology Center as a senior project manager. In her role, she helped clients in local government as well as private sector to assess opportunities to reduce their environmental impacts through various energy solutions. Often, this included helping clients reach a stated goal, or in some cases, to develop their own goals. She enjoyed the diversity of this work immensely, but she craved the need to make a bigger impact on a more local level. She also wanted the chance to work on other aspects of sustainability beyond energy. Her educational background includes a bachelor's degree in journalism and a master's degree in environmental communication. Kimberly is inspired by ways in which local government are actually leading the way in the sustainability realm and is grateful to be a part of Morrisville journey. Some interesting facts about Kimberly is she is from upstate New York. She went to school in Maine and settled in North Carolina in 2004. Even though she's been here for 17 years, she is still cautious when she's dropping a y'all. I'm excited to have Kimberly on my team. In the short 4 months that she has been with us, she has developed a strong foundation of connection, partnerships, encouragement, and awareness in sustainability. Let me warn you that her passion and energy is contagious. So I leave her with you.
Thank you, Giselle. Good evening. I'm Kimberly Conley. I am the Sustainability Coordinator for the town. Thank you. I would like to start by saying thank you to the Town Council for recognizing sustainability as a priority for the town. I am very passionate about this work, and I feel very grateful to be able to do this work. So, thank you. So this evening, what I'd like to talk about is the top 5 sustainability initiatives that we've been working diligently on. Those include the Master Sustainability Plan. I'll probably take the most time on that particular item. I'd like to talk about the solar on Fire Station number 1. I hope that if you've driven by the fire station, you've seen the panels up there already. Pretty exciting. Thirdly, I'd like to discuss the building automation systems project that we're working on presently. Number 4 will be the EV assessment and infrastructure. And then the 5th will be the recycling and contamination program. Finally, 2 other items I did want to touch on this evening are the gains that we've made with the MESC committee, which is the Morrisville Environment and Stormwater Committee. And then we do have a couple of additional ongoing efforts that I thought would be noteworthy for the council to hear about. If you would, please, I'm happy to take your questions, but if you would leave those until the end so that we can manage those effectively, that'd be great. So the first item is the Master Sustainability Plan. The way I'm going to work through these, the boxes here that are in blue, I'm actually going to start with the benefit, go to timeline, and then go back and let you know what the current status is on these. So they're a little bit out of order, so bear with me. The Master Sustainability Plan is mission critical to developing this program. It is going to be the guiding purpose for the overall program, the development of the program, and the subsequent action items. It will incorporate a significant amount of stakeholder engagement. And basically, after we do all of that work, we will go ahead and with a consultant's support, define goals for the program. So the timeline for this is the research and analysis has already been done. We are in the process of finalizing the actual framework, which will then become the RFP, and we will hopefully, we're planning to post that RFP in Q2, and then the majority of that work will happen this calendar year, and we plan to complete the plan by first quarter of 2022. So that is all obviously in progress. That's our status. We're in the process of finalizing that RFP and working with town leadership to do so. I wanted to talk a little bit about the different phases that we have as part of this plan, because they're really important. I am a big believer in you can't improve what you don't measure, right? So a big part of this plan has to do with figuring out an assessment and a peer analysis. Kind of phase one is all of this, you can't measure what you don't, or you can't improve what you don't measure. The assessment will have us kind of take a look back to see other items that we've done that maybe we didn't classify as sustainability, but they certainly are. The LEDs, that would be a perfect example of that kind of initiative. So we'd really like to dig into that and really understand the impacts of that. Maybe what other projects were successful or not successful, so that we can really sort of quantify those sustainability initiatives that we've already embarked upon. The peer analysis is an opportunity for us to take a look at peer towns, maybe that are similar in growth, population, demographics, and understand what they've done that's worked. You know, what are the best practices? What are lessons learned? I think there's a lot to be gained from better understanding what our peer towns have done. So we're going to take a look at that. Phase 1A and 1B really sort of work in tandem. So the energy consumption baseline is an opportunity for us to understand what we use for energy as a town. It's not just electricity. It will be natural gas, diesel, obviously electricity, water. It will be all of those things, because we can't understand how to improve if we don't understand where we're starting from. So that baseline is going to give us a starting point in essence. Same with the greenhouse gas inventory. We're going to have a really good understanding of what are we creating for emissions when we're looking at carbon, when we're looking at other greenhouse gases. So that will help us understand what we're creating as a town, so that later on, this comes in goal 4, or phase 4 rather, we can start setting goals to perhaps reductions in these areas. Phase 2 is a super important aspect of this plan. We are planning to create focus groups, stakeholder engagements, social media, interviews, where we bring in a very diverse grouping of businesses, residents, community leaders, nonprofits, and understand what does sustainability mean to them, and document that, because we think that that's pretty important to understand what our stakeholders believe we should be doing in the realm of sustainability, and bake that into our plan. Phase 3 is the investigation and analysis phase. So that's where we start to kind of take all of this quantitative and qualitative data, and we analyze it, we understand it, we look for themes. And the investigation portion is an opportunity for us to start to look at what are the actual projects that would be feasible for us to embark on as part of this plan. I think that's a super important aspect of this as well. And then finally, phase 4 is where we sit down and we start looking at what kinds of goals, now that we have all of our data and all of our information, what kind of goals are reasonable for us to make that are attainable, right? They can be aspirational, but they really need to be attainable. That's super important. In my time at NC State, there were clients that I worked with that had already kind of put a stake in the sand and said, we're going to do X, Y, Z, and they weren't really sure how they were getting there. So I think that we can do better. The 5 categories that we're going to be focusing on are energy and water, waste and recycling, natural environment, built environment, and transportation. So solar at Fire Station 1, the benefits of this project. This is the first, obviously this is the first self-generation project for the town, the first renewable energy project for the town. We're going to be able to offset 40% of the fire station's electricity with this project. I think we have about 85 panels up there presently. It's a 30 kW array. That's the limit that Duke would allow us to put on that station, so we maxed it out. The gross price or cost rather is $62,000. The net will be about $38,000. We are getting almost $25,000 from Duke Energy and a nonprofit rebate. So that's a great opportunity to take advantage of that. We're looking at about an 8-year payback for that project. Over the life of that project, which they anticipate is a 30-year window, we're looking at a $300,000 cost savings. We're working with Southern Energy Management. They are a B Corp, which means they care about things like people, planet, profit, and they're accountable for those things. And they're here locally, so that's also, I think, a bonus. Obviously, that project, timeline-wise, we're doing it right now. It will be implemented fully in Q2. Yeah, we're actually ahead of the items on status now, but that's the update for that project. We were featured. We've been working closely with the communications team. We were featured in the Morrisville Connection newsletter. We have a sign out front, and hopefully I'm not telling tales out of school, but we did just do a video recording with the fire department, both the assistant chief and Chief Criddle. So that will be forthcoming as well, talking about all the benefits of the project. So building automation systems, the benefit to this is that we get to optimize different, mostly mechanical systems within our buildings. We're focusing on the largest energy users within our slate of buildings that we have as a town. It'll allow us to optimize things like HVAC, air quality. We can put sensors on particular items or equipment rather, and then what that does is it kind of centralizes our maintenance of those systems and allows us to make real-time decisions based on, how many people are we expecting in XYZ building? Okay, we can put more fresh air in there, for example. So those are things that we'll be able to do with the building automation systems. Often you'll hear us refer to it as BAS. So as those 3 arrows kind of indicate, that allows us to optimize energy and operational efficiency, automate monitoring and control through a wireless platform, and quick and better decision making. It really, in essence, makes us more proactive rather than reactive with our systems. So we're excited about that. As far as timeline, we posted the RFP last week, and so we are hoping to have the pilot implementation done by Q3 of this year, and that will be on the public safety building, just a couple doors down. Okay, EV assessment and charging. As you probably already are aware, we have 2 charging stations at Public Safety, and we have 1 charging station at MAFC that is in development. That is one piece of our infrastructure. We know that we want to probably increase that infrastructure, but we want to do it in a very thoughtful way, a very data-driven way. This particular project under benefits, so we've proposed a EV assessment study so that we can have support in looking at the town as a corridor for EV charging. We have a lot of folks that pass through town, right? We have a lot of folks that are going to work in Morrisville. So we really want to be thoughtful in how we're approaching the EV infrastructure side of things. So we'd like to do a study. This is pending funding allocation, of course. But that's kind of the ultimate goal. That study will also help to start to show us, demonstrate to us what might EVs on our own, within our own operations and facilities look like too. So it's kind of, it's sort of a broad-reaching study, very crucial for moving forward with that aspect. So one of the grants on the list we were just looking at a few minutes ago is the DEQ. So that's the Division of Environmental Quality at the state level. I am happy to report that we were granted $10,000 through DEQ to do a recycling mailing to all of our residents. So we'll be using the materials that you see on the screen. The Recycle More sheet will be a magnet that residents they'll get a letter from us kind of noting what can be recycled. And then they'll get this magnet, which the hope is you put it on your refrigerator, and then every time you make a decision as to what bin you're putting your items in, that you're doing it correctly, so that we can start to reduce contamination. That's a big issue. And we're hoping to obviously increase recycling. So that will be, we were just awarded that actually a couple weeks ago, and the actual grant will run for fiscal year starting July 21 and go through June of 2022. We'll be working with dedicated to our community NC. We call them DOC NC for short. They're a student leadership group. They have been fantastic so far. They will support the social media aspect of this project, and we'll use a mailing company to help us kind of with the physical aspects of this particular initiative. So moving on from the 5 sustainability initiatives, I wanted to talk a little bit about MESC. I think we've made some really good progress over the last couple of months. We took the very apt comments that you all gave, I think that was in August of last year, and we took them and we created different themes and categories, and then created a vision or a thematic vision document. And from that, we were able to take that information and create our committee's work plan. So what we were able to do is this to-do list that I have listed here. We're focusing on education, we're focusing on strategy, we're focusing MESC on supporting sustainability and stormwater, and finally we're looking at collaboration. So I think we have a very clear sort of vision as to where we're going with MESC, and I'm excited about it for one. MESC is also obviously supporting Green Day, which I'll talk about in the next couple slides. Ongoing efforts of note. So I've been working, let me just pull up my notes here. Okay, we've been doing lots of really good work with our utility partners. We were assigned an additional point of contact that has more of a technical focus. And so already they've been able to help us restructure all of the town's utility bills for Duke and save us about $6,000 annually. We have a recurring monthly meeting with Duke Energy now to let them know what we're working on and what we might be looking to in the future. And finally, we applied for a program through a contractor that they use called Willdan. Willdan provides energy design assistance as part of Duke Energy. It's a no-cost service, and they are helping us to design Fire Station 3 in a very efficient, energy-efficient manner. So that is going extremely well. We're really excited. It's helping us to have both utility savings, but also those GHG or carbon reductions that we talked about sort of at the top of this presentation. So that's a great opportunity. Same with Dominion. We have recurring meetings with Dominion just to help strengthen that relationship and make sure that when we need, to figure out how to put gas at Fire Station 3, we know who to contact there. So that's just another relationship we're working on. Town of Cary, we've been working closely on fats, oils, and greases, right? They have some education requirements, and so we've been helping them with that. They are actually coming and helping us at our Green Day event on the 24th. They'll have a collection tent there, so we have a really great relationship on that. And we've also been able to talk with them, their engineering staff, about fire stations that they've developed, and so that we can, again, kind of gain those best practice aspects from someone that's been through it. Something that's relatively new, we were approached by Linda Frenette at the Chamber of Commerce with the idea of doing a joint event with the Chamber specific to business and commercial members rather, to provide information maybe on Duke Energy and their Smart Saver programs so that our businesses and commercial entities can take advantage of all of the no-cost resources that we're also taking advantage of in a good way. Maybe it also talks about different sustainability aspects. It could also include Town of Cary to talk about water conservation and things like that. So we're in the process of coordinating an event with them, and we're excited about that partnership. The last couple of things here I wanted to just touch on briefly. We are part of the Southeast Sustainability Directors Network, which is part of a larger organization called the Urban Sustainability Directors Network. Fantastic organization, so very valuable. They provide access to our peers. They provide a lot of policy guidance on things that we should be aware of on an ongoing basis, which is wonderful. They have different task forces that we can be a part of, transportation and waste reduction. So it's just another opportunity for us to make sure we're really plugged into what's happening in the sustainability world, specific to the Southeast, but we do have access to cities outside of the region as well. I've just started working with the Wake County Solid Waste Management group, and they're looking at putting together a campaign to help restaurants reduce waste, plastic mostly, single-use plastic. A lot of times, maybe when you go get your takeout from a restaurant, they automatically are putting in things like, ketchup packets and plastic condiment cups and utensils, and you take it home and you use your own things, right? And what happens to those? So the idea is, how can we work with our restaurants to reduce some of that waste? And then finally, I wanted to talk about Green Day and Arbor Day. Green Day, as you probably are aware, again, April 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's sponsored by MESC, the Sustainability Program, and of course Parks and Rec. We've been working together on this initiative. We will have donation stations for textiles, document shredding, fog collection, medication take-back, which is sponsored by the Morrisville Police Department, an e-recycling station, and then Hub Zone Technology Initiative, which is a group that takes functional laptops and turns them into Chromebooks and gives them back to underprivileged communities. So it's a really great program that we're excited to be a part of. Obviously, you've probably already heard about Arbor Day as well. We're working on Arbor Day. Actually, Parks and Rec is really leading that initiative, and I'm supporting it. But that is, of course, April 30th, and that will take place at Northwest Park. We have been working very closely with the Morrisville Community Library. They've been fantastic. We've put together a scavenger hunt, and I think that's going to be a really fabulous event. So we've also done some story times, some videos, and I think it's going to be great. So we're excited about that opportunity. And I think that was everything on my list. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take those.
I'd recognize Councilmember Rabati, please.
Hi, Kimberly. I first wanted to say how thrilled I am that you're on board and that this presentation really is so much of what I hoped the person that was in this position would be doing, that I just could not be any happier right now. I did want to let you know that for, oh, you're welcome. I did want to let you know that for Green Day, there's this thing that I used to do in my hometown where I read the Lorax and then kids plant, at the end I tell kids that I know the Onceler and he gave me a bag of truffula seeds, and then we all plant a delphinium bulb in a little, one of those little peat flower pots, and then it grows up and it looks a lot like a truffula tree, and kids love it. And I'd love to do that at Green Day if you thought there was any room for something like that. And yeah, just I'm thrilled that you're here. And let me know if there's absolutely anything that I can do to help you with all of these amazing efforts.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I will say we are attempting to have this event be as socially distanced and touch-free as possible. We also are trying to be, well, we are going to be extremely diligent about safety with traffic. So there may not be a lot of opportunity for congregating and coming together as Green Day typically has in the past, but I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that.
Councilmember Fender, please.
So I'm also very excited to finally meet you. And I am so excited to see solar panels going on the fire station. I thought that project would take a longer period of time to actually come to fruition. So when I read your presentation this weekend, I was like, what? You already have the solar panels? So I'm very, very excited about that. One of the questions I had was that you said the panels are already up there, but then you said implemented fully in second quarter. So at what stage in the process are they?
Sure, great question. So we have to, as I mentioned, the panels are up. We're in the process of doing the electrical, the wiring at this point. And then we have an appointment with Duke Energy to come back later this month, and they have to shut the power down. We have to do inspections, and then we can have them back out again, them being Duke, turn the power back on. So there are just some steps in the process that we have to be obviously very diligent that we follow. It's been very much a group effort. I would like to say that our facilities lead has been fantastic. Planning and inspections with the town we've all really come together because we knew that this was a really important, very visible project for the town. So thank you for recognizing that we're doing it in a timely way. Appreciate that.
And please let me know when you guys are ready to throw the switch.
Yeah, great point.
To start using it, because I'd love to be there.
Yeah, I think that we need to talk a little bit more about what the ribbon cutting looks like. That will be an exciting event for sure.
Thank you.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, please.
Thank you. Well, welcome, and wow, what a presentation. I can't even imagine what your day is like. It's just so chock full of good things that our town is needing. I do have some questions about the EV study and a little bit about the scope and, maybe timelines about that. Electronic charging stations for Morrisville, those would be public stations that you're kind of evaluating the need for the public as well as our town as we get more either hybrid or electronic vehicles.
That's correct, yes.
So are there any grants available in this area? I know that some companies, like I don't know if Duke does any grants for municipalities to install public EV stations, or is that something just available to the residences or maybe private businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. And we were just on a call last week with Duke Energy talking about EV specifically. That is something that we want to delve into a bit more. We want to do a little bit more homework. Duke has a regulated side of their business and a non-regulated side. And on the non-regulated side, there might be opportunities for us to partner with them. So that is definitely something that we're looking at. You mentioned timeline and scope. So the scope is very much still in development, right? It hasn't been approved necessarily, but it's an opportunity for us to kind of take a big step back and look at where are EV charging stations already? Where are the gaps, right? How can we do a gap analysis to figure out where they would be best placed? And then looking at Morrisville's growth over the next, 2, 5, 10 years to see how can we sort of forecast where we should be going with this EV infrastructure. If we are funded for this, I can't speak to what the timeline would be ultimately at this point, but I'd be happy to get back to you on that.
That's a perfect answer. we do the same. No, but it's my understanding that we did participate in a pilot that is near the police station in the planning area a long time ago, and those EV stations might be actually outdated. EV is, there's different types coming out, some that are fast charging and some that are slower charging. And that assessment would probably take into consideration what new technology is available. And we could leapfrog and just go right into the newer technology since we don't have a lot of existing EV stations. So I'm excited about that area. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Councilmember Rao, please.
Thank you. Well, I just have a couple of points. I'll just give them in categories, and then you can just take a stab at them. As it relates to the electric charging vehicles, the recent American Rescue Jobs Act, President Biden is calling for 500,000 vehicle stations. So assuming that passes, and he's able to get the funding through the Congress and the Senate, one question I have is how would local governments like Morrisville work? Would they work with the DOT to get more charging stations, grants, and things like that? The second thing is the smart city initiatives, or Smart Morrisville. I'd love to learn over the course of time, you don't have to do it tonight, of just how sustainability is working with our SMART initiative. A lot of it's already on our website. And that's a good segue into a point that I want to make. I recently read Bill Gates' book on climate change, and I've always, likened him to just the software and that he's, leading the pandemic. But, I didn't realize that he's invested over $2 billion with Mike Bloomberg, all on innovation from, carbon, extracting carbon from cement to plant-based meats, air filtration systems, microbes in Yellowstone Park. And and the point I'm trying to make is that I think there's a really great opportunity, and correct me if I'm wrong, for Morrisville to really reach out to, entrepreneurs that might, have these ideas of how they could, connect with our sustainability initiatives. And maybe there could be some kind of a program where, we give them an idea and they come in. Because I always, particularly in the Raleigh area, you think of most of the entrepreneurs as the tech entrepreneurs. You don't really think about the socially conscious entrepreneurs that are developing sustainable solutions. So that could be something that would connect well with our chamber efforts as well as we try to bring in more members to our chamber. So just a food for thought.
No, those are all excellent points, and I'm going to start with the Smart Cities Initiative and the sustainability. We're very much working together. We see these as sustainability initiatives first and foremost that have a significant technology component. And when I say that, I'm talking about you can apply that to almost everything, right? You can apply it to solar because we're going to start demonstrating in real time on a dashboard what we're producing with that array once it's up and running. So that's something for our citizens to log in and see in real time, which I think is really exciting. Same with the BAS, the Building Automation Systems. That's also a sustainability project. I think first and foremost that also happens to have a significant technology component. So we have, Giselle and I meet with Rick Ralph, our CIO, on a monthly basis and keep each other apprised of different things that we're working on and just give each other updates. So thank you for that, making that connection for us. As far as grants through the Biden administration, that is something that we're keeping very close tabs on, particularly with our friends at the Southeast Sustainability Directors Network. They are all over it and making sure that we know how to access all of those various buckets of funding so that we can leverage those for the benefit of the town.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good
Welcome
comments.
aboard. We're so excited.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
So I got the opportunity to say hello before the beginning of the meeting, Kimberly, but welcome, publicly welcome. We're happy to hear. And you have been incredibly busy. Are you sure you didn't get here before November? You've already accomplished a lot, or you've gotten a lot underway already. So thank you. I'm looking forward to all the updates on this. And the only thing I'll add is I really appreciate the work you're doing with DocNC and with the Morrisville Community Library. It's our children that are the ones that are going to help lead us out of whatever our concerns are and our issues are. And it's that generation that needs to be educated often and early. And they're the ones that are going to take the banner and lead us all forward. So I appreciate those efforts. And I love the idea that you're working with Wake County Solid Waste Management. And not that you need to do anything about this, but every time I can, I take the opportunity to remind folks that they offer tours of the landfill down in Holly Springs. Now, of course, they're not doing it now because of the pandemic, but I had the pleasure of taking a group of folks there pre-pandemic. It is an eye-opening, incredibly educational opportunity, and right now it's all virtual. You can actually do a virtual tour, but folks need to be aware of the educational opportunities that are out there for each and every one of us, and how critically important it is for us to get out there and see they're not amenities, but these like the landfill, to see exactly what happens when your garbage goes out to the end of the street and then you totally forget about it.
That's right.
And until you actually visit, it is, like I said, very eye-opening. So anyhow, so it's all out there virtually for folks that want to take a tour now, and I encourage them to do that. But again, welcome and thank you for all you do. And again, welcome and looking forward to the updates as you move forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And I also want to welcome you. I really enjoyed watching your guys' meeting the other night. You guys got some great stuff. MESC is going to do some great work. So a lot of what you're talking about is mostly focused on town and making us better stewards and better models. And I know that the MESC committee has been concentrating on trying to increase recycling and do those kind of things, get people composting. So I know that you guys are going to keep that as at the forefront, because we can only do so much as a town. We need our residents to be doing things like this. And just happy to say that there's some council members who actually have solar panels also already on their homes. I didn't hear SoulSmart mentioned. Is that something that you guys are going for to try to encourage and make it easier for our residents?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for bringing that up, actually. We are Within the committee's work plan, we have SoulSmart actually named, and I'm trying to remember which category that's under. It might be collaboration, but we have a member of MESC that is leading that initiative. We also just recently received confirmation that we can hire a policy sustainability intern for the summer. And that is something that they will specifically be working on. We're getting together actually with planning and engineering and public works, and we're going to try to identify opportunities to open lines of communication and progress for our citizens to implement more sustainability and renewable energy options. So that intern will be supporting that work directly and working on SoulSmart.
Yeah, we need a few of you because there's a lot of opportunity within this space, and I'm sure you're familiar with TJCOG and Triangle Clean Cities and everything that's going on already.
Yes, yes.
So it's going to be hard to keep up with all the stuff. So pick and choose. I'm sure you're going to do that wisely and really bring us along on this journey. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all so much.
Great addition
I
to the
appreciate the
team.
opportunity to present to you this evening.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez, for bringing her on board. A big win for everybody. Yeah, it's 8:23 right now. We're not scheduled for a break till after this next item, but with staff's permission, we're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break now because it's after 8. So let's reconvene at 8:34, please. Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to reconvene. I'd like to recognize Erin L. Hudson, Strategic Performance Manager, who will be making the next presentation.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight, we're going to be covering part 1 of our strategic plan revision discussion. And we're going to provide a recap of our Connect Morrisville strategic plan update process. We're going to cover the outreach plan that we went through, share some feedback from both the public and our staff, and we're also going to go over the next steps in our timeline towards the end. We do not have the expectation of direct feedback from council tonight, but rather we just want to set sort of the stage and prepare you for our discussion to come 2 weeks from now, when we'll be preparing some draft plan revisions for your review and discussion. If you'll give me about 10 or 12 minutes, I'll move through these slides. And if you'll hold your questions, we'll have plenty of time to chat at the end. I see you getting ready to time me as well. So our Connect Morrisville plan is 3 years old. It was developed with the input of staff and the community and originally envisioned as a 3 to 5 year plan. Knowing some of our plan elements were completed, some were outdated and just in need of revision, in October of last year, Town Council did give staff the green light to begin with a revision process. We are going to be looking at plan objectives, initiatives, and outcome measures. We will not be revising the mission, vision, core values, or goals at this time. During Council's February retreat, staff shared some preliminary recommendations as to how we would be proceeding with this revision process, along with some insight into what our engagement process might be like as well. Council provided some initial plan feedback for staff consideration during that time, and we incorporated that into our process as well. During the first 3 weeks of March, staff pursued an engagement and outreach plan, and we obtained some broader feedback, and we're going to go over that a little bit more in the next few slides. When our original plan was developed, we relied really heavily on in-person engagement and feedback. Roughly 10% of the Morrisville population turned out to provide input at that time. However, in-person engagement was largely not possible during this time because of restrictions on gathering size and social distancing. So what were our goals? We wanted to give everyone on staff and in our community an opportunity to provide feedback and try to develop ways to reach and engage them. We knew that our outreach plan needed to be robust because we needed this plan to continue to be a community plan. We needed to hear from both our internal and external communities. Some highlights of our process are shown on the screen in front of you. We started again with our council feedback at our work session discussions in October and February. We wanted to reach everyone, young and old, and all of those in between. We shared the message of plan revision and revitalization, getting it into as many hands as possible and encouraging the community and our partners to share that message with us. Some of the notable items that I wanted to share with you. Both our staff and public survey were mobile friendly. We shared social media breadcrumbs, which is the image in your top right, designed to help the community better understand our plan, how it was created, and what it really means to all of us. We also sought opportunities for non-digital engagement. Our youth take-home kits were designed for the middle school age group and younger, and those were available for contactless pickup and drop-off. That's the image there in the top center. And I have to give a special shout out to our Cedar Fork staff. They volunteered to host sessions for two of our sort of underrepresented groups, our seniors and our ESL groups. And they shared our survey in hard copy and captured those responses and shared them back with staff for capturing. So we really desired to know a few key pieces of high-level information from all of our groups that would really help us to understand what areas of our plan needed to be revised. Were people aware of the plan? What do they think of its performance generally? And what would they like to see from it in the future? Our survey was intentionally designed with open-ended questions so that respondents could be free to share open feedback and ideas. And for our public respondents specifically, we wanted to know how they aligned with the community demographically, and we captured that information from those who provided it. In front of you is a snapshot of what our engagement response looked like over 3 weeks, and I want to give just a little more substance to the numbers and figures you see in front of you. For external surveys, you really desire a response rate of 10 to 15%. If we estimate the Morrisville population around 28,500, 10% would be 285. So we were just shy of that with 218 recorded public responses, but we're still very pleased with that response rate. As I mentioned previously, we captured demographic information from those who provided it. 84 of our 218 responses indicated that they were mostly residents. Some of them indicated that they identified most as property owners, business owners, or community and support organizations. For internal surveys, the desired response rate is somewhere between 30 and 40%. So for approximately 200 staff positions, 30% would be 60 responses. We slightly exceeded that with 65 recorded staff responses. Again, we're very pleased with that response rate. It's difficult to know our total combined reach through all the mediums due to our broad engagement, but I'm sure you're all wanting to know, what did people share with us? So we'll start with our public feedback. Based on some of the key questions that we asked, the results of our public feedback indicated that 3 of the goals that stand out most to the public are on the left side of the screen, and the 3 that resonated or were a little less prominent to them are on the right side of the screen. Now, a little bit of context here as well. You see public safety readiness there on the lower right. However, that does not mean that public safety is not important to our public. It simply means that if respondents feel safe or were pleased with public safety performance, that goal may figure less prominently in their rating. So we'll see this feedback slightly different in the next slide. We also asked our respondents to share with us the why. Why did they rank the goals in the order that they did? And those that stood out with the most prominence to those that stood out with the less prominence. We have shared a word cloud of those responses here. We know that word clouds show the frequency of words in a response. Our responses had commingled answers, explaining both what resonated and what was less prominent. And we don't have a way to know each individual's individual rankings, so we can't take this image at face value. So a way to give that a little more context is to share some selected statements that were provided by our public survey respondents. Transportation, mobility, and prosperity are key to continued economic growth and development. The town provides few services beyond the basics, not connected with many in town because I go to Cary or Raleigh for many activities. Feeling safe is very important, and I ranked it number 2. We need more than always having to rely on a car, and I wish Morrisville had more buses, rideshare, or even scooters. As a single person, I want to live in a community that feels safe. I can access public safety if needed and believe I will be protected by police. Diversity is important because the world is diverse, and I want an opportunity to meet and learn about different communities of people. Finally, I want to live in a neighborhood that is clean with good sidewalks and walkways. We need more shops, restaurants within the community, better transportation, walking, biking. Operational excellence will come along with the above three. Economic prosperity shouldn't be on the list and should be a given. Don't waste taxpayer dollars. So the public shared what they felt of the elements within the current plan, but we also wanted to know what they wanted to add. What did they not see there that they would include? There were a lot of no, none, NA, nothing is missing responses. So we categorized what was remaining into some large, broad buckets. So really quickly, I want to go through a couple of examples that were shared there from our public respondents. Additional focus on more public school capacity and support for young residents outside of school hours, especially teens. In economic prosperity, would like to see a specific reference to economic development. Ensure the history of the town is not forgotten and is integrated into the plan. More animal-friendly dog park, increased trails. More affordable housing for people 50 plus. With housing pricing skyrocketing, most of us in age bracket can't afford a single-family home, and apartments are just as expensive. We want to stay in Morrisville, but options for seniors with lower income are not many. The town does a great job of securing community feedback, but could improve on follow-up and share why decisions are made and the implications. Ensure current and legacy infrastructure, i.e. roads and water, are taken care of in a sustainable way, and real leaf collection, enough with the bags. Be environmentally minded. So now on to our staff responses. Again, based on key questions, we asked them to rank order what resonated the most and what was less prominent to them. So the ones that stood out the most are on the left. The ones that were less prominent are on the right. And again, we'll see this feedback through a little bit of a different lens on our next slide. These responses are, again, the why, and also had commingled answers explaining both what resonated and what felt less prominent. So a little bit of that context through their responses as well. While it's important to have an engaged, inclusive community and operational excellence, these are goals that are naturally accomplished through our work and may not rise to a level of strategic importance as the others. As our town grows rapidly and more people move in, it's going to be a major challenge to maintain a high quality of life for our neighborhoods and move our population around with traditional transportation. Thriving livable neighborhoods is an HOA or rental property issue, not a town-wide issue. The town wants and needs a focus or a town center. Right now it feels more like sprawl. Economic prosperity will support services. Many goals seem redundant. So we took that a little bit further with staff. We needed to know how this really resonated and applied to them in their day-to-day work. We did find that staff respondents are very aware of or familiar with the plan. That lets us know that it's becoming more ingrained in workplace culture, which is what we like to see and what we like to hear. So this plan, whether seen or unseen, is lived and breathed daily in the work that they perform. What the word cloud really doesn't show, again, is that context. So let me give you just a handful of examples for the last time. Our projects and work are directly related, and we provide updates through Morrisville Pro. In my department and at my specific facility, we work very hard to ensure all of our programming membership options are inclusive of different ages, cultures, etc. We create fun events meant to bolster our values of health and wellness that help to engage our community further. I am a planner, so the goals of the strategic plan form the basis for everything I do, whether it is enforcing the UDO through development reviews or promoting the long-term vision of our council to Morrisville citizens. In IT, we are always looking for ways to leverage technology to make things easier. So what have we learned from this feedback? Some high-level takeaways are that we need to further clarify, refine, and define multiple elements within our plan. And we'll be including those in the proposed draft revisions that you'll see a couple weeks from now. Really what stood out to us is a couple of things. So item 1, Both the economic prosperity and operational excellence goals didn't really seem to resonate with either surveyed group, the public or staff, for a variety of reasons. So that lets us know we really need to refine elements within both of those goals. For item 2, traffic and transportation, public transit, road infrastructure, most respondents have indicated that they have seen a positive trend in transportation improvements, but have also indicated that they see traffic and transportation having a continued significant impact on the town, and that was consistent with both the public and our staff. So we just want to take a close look at the elements within that transportation goal. For items 3, 4, and 5, inclusion and diversity, protected trees and green space, and security and safety. Each of these groups were sort of consistently identified as needs or greater needs in the public survey, and we really want to make sure our plan is reflective of the community. So those are just areas that we're going to make sure we look at really closely as we develop our updates. So let's see where we are in our timeline and sort of where we're headed. We provided an updated timeline when we met in February. At this point, we've completed steps 1 through 5. We're currently in step 6. Sorry, I'll let that pass. As stated at the start of the presentation, we do have an additional work session scheduled with you 2 weeks from now on April 27th, at which time we'll be sharing draft revisions for your all consideration and discussion. This presentation was really just to get you prepared and thinking and ready for that discussion. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I do want to pause, recognize Town Manager Page, and see if she has any comments or thoughts to share at this time.
My comments are more directed to recognition of Aaron's work to really do some creative strategies to continue to engage in gathering input and feedback, and I think presenting it to you in a number of ways. As we often know, it's what goes beyond the question or the initial inquiry to get the in-depth understanding of what our residents and other stakeholders are trying to say. So the work that's gone on to that is really informational for what your next step is going to be. And I hope you'll take some time to go look at some of those word clouds and see what's standing out to you as much as what you see on that piece of paper.
Happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
I'll get us started. If you go to slide 11, I was just wondering, that was what elements would make the plan more reflective of you. Are they in order of importance from left to right, or were these just listed to be listed?
No, sorry, Mayor. Thank you for that question. Not in any particular order, just in the buckets that we identified.
Okay, great. Yeah, really great report. Looking forward to seeing what the staff recommendations are, or how we can get some more meat on the bone, or have it be more engaging for people.
Yeah.
That would be really wonderful. Looking around for other people who want to comment or question. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
So the only thing I would say, Aaron, you're on the right track, obviously. So thank you for the update and looking forward to 2 weeks. But I appreciate that you circled back with staff too. I think that's critically important to understand what they're thinking, feeling, what's working, not working, and because this is a document that they need to use. So I'm looking forward to what recommendations y'all have so we can kind of chat about that. So thank you. I mean, you know, the public input is equally as important, but this is, you know, we need to be sure that it's clear and we're all clear on what we want to do and what we want the document to say. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. You bring up a good point. So when we say, you know, reflective of our community, that's internal and external. So it's, you know, it's us who work here sort of within the walls of these buildings and this structure, and also the streets of Morrisville and that community. But you'll notice, so I believe it's step 8 in our timeline. So our staff will be using the updated plan as they sort of revise and update their individual department plans too. So it's just as important to us who work here daily as to the residents and the folks who live here and work here in Morrisville as well.
Right.
So
And
thank
we're
you for
all-
bringing
and
that
we're
up.
all clear, yeah. No,
Thank you.
Well, I always say, I'll say it again. I say a lot of things a lot. I've repeated a few of them tonight too. But one thing I always say, we as a council can do a fabulous job of setting all the policy and procedure we want and giving direction. But you all are the ones that are the boots on the ground, getting the work done and accomplishing what we as a community, what we as our residents and council want to see. So you all are critically important to all the work we do, but in this case as well. So thank you.
Councilmember Rabati, please.
I don't think she heard you.
Councilmember Rabati.
Did
I
we lose
misread?
sound again?
We're having sound issues.
While that's being resolved, I'll recognize Councilmember Rao.
Yeah, just really great work. I think that inclusion and diversity is so important. I think it's everything the country's going through, and we have such a diverse community. So I really am glad that you guys are looking at diversity as, an ungrouped topic. And I think that diversity, actually, if you look at regions of the country that have strong economic development, they're very diverse. So that's one thing that Morrisville has going for it. So, and then that plays into a lot of these themes can sort of intermingle. So I'm going to do some thinking, and but I'm looking forward to the work session in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Mayor, I'm not sure they're hearing any of us right now. If you'll hold on for just a moment, sir.
Sure thing.
You're not even responding to the chat box.
So they can hear us in the council chamber.
Councilmember Rabati, can you hear me? Okay, they can't hear us from in here.
Chamber.
Are we muted?
Second.
Yep, go ahead.
I don't know when they lost sound.
we should be fully back.
Councilmember Garamella, can you hear us now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. We are reconnected. Mayor?
Thank
Jeannie,
you all.
can you
So
reshare?
we're in the midst of Ms. Hudson's presentation. I'd like to recognize Councilmember Rabati, followed by Councilmember Rao.
Okay, this is fun. Aaron, this is a great presentation, and it's really nice to see you like really stepping up and digging into this. I mean, there's a lot of work and thought and creativity behind this, and I'm really impressed. One question that I had, and I sort of lost it after I see that youth is on the current slide under activities and events that would make the plan more reflective. And I did want to mention that I really don't think that we talk enough as a council about activities for youth, especially teenagers. When we moved here, I remember thinking that it was a shame that there was just nothing for my kids to do. They were 15 and 14 at the time. Two of them were 15 and 14, the others were little. But I think that's something that we should talk more about. Whether it's a skate park or, I know that there's some great entertainment things for kids to do, but we should talk about more free things that would engage teenagers. I think that'd be a good use of time for us. Thank you.
Councilmember Rao?
Thank you. What I was saying to my colleagues is that I'm really glad to see diversity and inclusion as one of the goals that we're talking about, because I think we're living in a very diverse town. There's a lot of things going on in the country today where there's concerns about, diversity and inclusion, and I think that having this as part of a plan will be very important. I think it also can be tied to economic development, because diverse regions of the country tend to do very well economically. If you look at Silicon Valley, for example, very diverse. So we have that going for us in Morrisville. And then the final thing I forgot to say is it ties into history, because it tells us a great story of how Morrisville, with our demographics being such an influence of different cultures like South Asian culture, how it's sort of affecting the history of the town and the future of the town. So it's quite exciting, and I think that I'm really glad to see some of these areas tie together. So look forward to the work session in 2 weeks.
Seeing nothing else, I want to say thank you very much, Ms. Hudson, for all the hard work. Any last words you want to share?
No, excited to be in person with some of you and look forward to the time when we can all be in person together again.
Excellent. I think we're all looking forward to that. We're now at item 14, future meetings, events, and citizen involvement opportunities. We have a number of exciting events coming soon. Just this week, the Town of Morrisville and NCDOT Department of Transportation have scheduled a virtual public meeting to present information on the proposed extension of Airport Boulevard from Garden Square Lane to Chapel Hill Road, which is NC 54 in Morrisville. That's on Tuesday, April 20th, 2021 at 7 p.m. It'll be using the Go Meeting virtual platform, so see our webpage and social media for that link. Morrisville Green Day will be Saturday, April 24th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We heard Ms. Conley talking about that a little bit. It will be at Church Street Park, 5800 Cricket Pitch Way. Document shredding and an opportunity to recycle electronics, including laptops, cooking oil, and textiles will be provided for Morrisville residents and businesses. The Morrisville Stewardship Program will conduct a litter sweep and stream clean up with volunteer groups on that day as well. Visit townofmorrisville.org/Green Day for more details on that one. The Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Resources Department is partnering with Communications and Public Works and the town's Sustainability Coordinator to plan a National Arbor Day tree planting for April 30th. This will be a ceremonial tree planting located in Northwest Park in Morrisville, as well as a social media campaign to highlight the importance of trees and a virtual storytime reading and scavenger hunt in collaboration with the Morrisville Community Library. So a lot of this is review, since she also touched on it, so it's wonderful to hear it twice. Please check back frequently on our webpage and social media for updates on this developing event. And this is an early save the date for our Morrisville Spring Fest. We're excited to bring that back Saturday, May 15th from 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. At this time, we are now at council member comments. I'd like to first recognize Councilmember Scroggins Johnson, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to first thank everyone that has promoted and coordinated the vaccine clinics that have been taking place over the last several weeks in the town of Morrisville. I know that Councilmember Garamella has been working magic behind the scenes, helping to coordinate some vaccine clinics, but I know that each and every one of the town council has been supporting these efforts and getting the word out, and I think it really is working. We're getting a lot of positive feedback about people finding appointments, finding opportunities to get vaccinated for those that do want to get vaccinated, and it's really helping everyone feel a little safer, and it's something that we want to see happening over the next several weeks and months ahead to help not only the adults that want to get vaccinated, but it looks like we're starting to see opportunities for younger people to get vaccinated as the clinical studies provide more safety information. So I'm personally really excited about this, and I'm very thankful that we have such a supportive community, and I see a lot of people wearing masks, and that is so important to help us get through this pandemic. So I thank everybody for that. And I do have one other item, which is something that I've been thinking about for a while since our retreat. And at the retreat, the town council did kind of look at its annual code of conduct and social media policy and some other policies about how we conduct ourselves. And I thought at this time it might be appropriate to consider extending a social media policy and related code of conduct to the town of Morrisville advisory committees and committee members. We currently have a code of conduct for the Morrisville advisory committees, but we do not at this time have a social media policy. And it is not really any different as the town council policy. And I just wanted to read a few items from the policy that we do have to kind of explain why I think it's necessary. And the code of conduct for social media is to encourage public engagement and constructive dialogue while maintaining the dignity and integrity of the, for us it's elected office, but it would be the advisory role. The following best practices help to ensure that the official use of social media by the committee members is done in a responsible manner. And items, I'm not going to read it all, but I'm just going to highlight a few of the items, is to be honest and accurate when posting information, to promote constructive dialogue and civic engagement, to avoid undignified remarks on social media platforms, to avoid discourteous remarks, to refrain from disruptive statements, and to avoid personal attacks. So this is something that we have not extended to the committee members, but I think it's probably time as we continue to use social media to share communication. And we're not going to get a newspaper anytime soon, so I'd like to explore at least drafting a version of this for our committee members. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Garamella?
Yeah, a couple of comments. For me, also, like I think Vicky has already talked about the vaccines, and I want to extend thanks to Brandon, the EMT, and Will and his staff for ensuring, the right communication was done. And I do agree with Vicky. Some of the recent comments that I've been watching, it is important, I think, to extend that to our committees too. because that's the best way we need to conduct. We already have to set ourselves in the best standards, but also I strongly believe that should be for the committees too. That's all from me.
Councilmember Fender?
I don't have any comments, Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
I do have a couple. First, I want to extend my thanks to Parks and Rec for their fabulous Easter egg hunt. I had no idea how that was going to work, and I will tell you, they did an incredible job keeping families in their own little field where younger children especially could be very safe to get their eggs and do their little egg hunts. So, and I heard positive feedbacks from a couple of folks while I was out there. So I want to extend my kudos to them for doing an incredible job during this pandemic. Also want to just make a really quick remark about our Planning and Zoning Board Chair, Peter Pritchard. He is stepping down from the Planning and Zoning Board because he is downsizing and moving. And so I just want to acknowledge that tonight. This is the first time we're back in public since he has indicated he's going to resign. And I want to make sure that we recognize him as a council for all the years of his service. As far as I know, I've known Peter almost the whole time I've lived here. I'm pretty sure he was on Planning and Zoning Board. I know he was an alternate at first. I'm pretty sure it was at least like 1999. So his exemplary service and his dedication to this community is outstanding. And I think he said, if I'm not mistaken, when I was listening to their meeting last week, that he's only missed one meeting in all that time. So anyhow, I know we'll have more opportunity to recognize him, but I wanted to make sure to say that publicly, that I'm deeply sorry that he is going to be stepping down, but wish him absolutely all the best and obviously understand. I also want to just say a quick, I agree to Councilmember Scroggins-Johnson about her comments about social media, the policy for our committees. I totally agree. I think we as a council, as well as our appointed advisory committee members and our Planning and Zoning Board members, are held to a higher standard, or should be held to a higher standard, and we set the tone for our community. So I think it is critically important that we look at this kind of a policy as soon as possible. It's needed and needed now. And then the last thing I'm going to say is that all of you know I'm involved for at least the last 16 years with the Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. I lost my dad 20 years ago this year, and have been actively involved in raising awareness and funds for research into pancreatic cancer. It is a cancer that is, many of our residents are affected by it. We have residents today that are dealing with pancreatic cancer. So I urge everyone in the town of Morrisville to come out on Saturday. We have a Purple Stride event on Saturday. Of course, it's virtual, so you go out wherever you are. Put on some purple. Purple is our color. And please go out and walk virtually. I will be walking with my family on Town Hall Drive. We'll be out, we're probably going to start at Down and Glen Drive and Town Hall Drive at about 10:45 in the morning. So come out and come see us as we're walking up and down Town Hall Drive, or drive by and beep and wave at us. You'll see us all in our purple. Our little family will be out there in purple. So those are the only comments I have right now. Thank you. Oh, wait, let me say one more thing. Can I say one more? I'm sorry, let me add one more thing. I'm incredibly proud of this group, by the way, the local Pancreatic Cancer Action Network. We're a group of volunteers here in the Triangle. This year we have raised, well, we're not done fundraising yet. I'll give you the final figure, but it is well over $2.2 million. So I'm incredibly proud of the work this small and mighty group of people do here every year for the past 16 years. And for our residents here in the town of Morrisville that are battling this cancer. So, thank you.
Councilmember Rabati.
Thank you, Mayor. No comments.
Councilmember Rao.
Thank you, Mayor. I've got a couple. The first is just, I just want to ask staff, maybe you can just answer it later, but down the road, I'd like to get a briefing on potentially the $8.5 million that we could get under the American Rescue Act. So I know staff's probably got a briefing coming, but I hope we can get that. I know there's probably limits of how the money could be used, and that's from the American Rescue Act. Great job on the Easter egg hunt, and Senior Center looks great. It was great being with Mayor Pro Tem on the TCC Policy Vibe podcast with Jacob Rogers. It was very interesting. And a couple other things. There's an Asian American Lobby Day at the legislature on April 21st. So I'll send everyone an email out there. And I think we in Morrisville and our council needs to be very sensitive to all the things that are going on. We've got a big population here in Morrisville and Cary. And it's also to support Senator Chowdhury's hate crime legislation. And then the IoT, the NC Riots had a lot of great IoT events. I've been forwarding them to John Briggs and the Smart City Steering Committee, so lots of good ideas coming from that. And then the NC Vet Biz, if you're a veteran business and you're in Morrisville or Triangle, I'm on the board of the NC Vet Biz. Please go to the annual meeting is this April 21st at 2 p.m. And the final thing is I just want to thank the Hindu Society of North Carolina, Avance, and Eastern Carolina Medical Center, and the town for the program. But I really want to thank Councilmember Garamella. I not only want to congratulate him on him being nominated for another term, but once again, his get it done leadership style was so effective. And so I just want to thank him, not only as a council member, but as a friend, and hope I can help more in the next clinic, which I think will be on the 30th. So thank you, Councilmember Garamella. That's all I've got.
Okay. You might have noticed my hair is a little shorter. I do St. Baldrick's. I've been doing that for a couple of years to combat childhood cancer. I want to say thank you to the Kitts Creek neighborhood, who had a very well-attended litter sweep this past Sunday. Congratulations to Yeat Street Discs, a disc golf store which just opened in Morrisville in the marketplace at Perimeter Park Shopping Center. That's just north of Wake Tech Morrisville campus. The Morrisville Rotary will be doing a litter sweep of Davis Drive Saturday morning starting at 8:30 a.m. at the McCrimmon Corners Shopping Center. There's no RSVP necessary, but if you have any questions, you can just give me a call. Saturday is also the third Saturday of the month, so in partnership with Wake County, free meals will be provided from 11:30 a.m. until 1 p.m. at Morrisville Elementary School to anyone who wants them. These will be dry goods boxes and boxes of produce. They'll be available. Also, the HSNC Temple continues to generously provide hot meals for distribution as well, which reminds me to thank the HSNC Temple for another successful vaccination event. Great team working over there, including Ritesh Patel. And when I dropped by, I saw Satish doing some boots on the ground work as well. So congratulations to the entire team doing really good work over there. They got over 3,000 jabs in arms this past weekend. The Nepal Center of North Carolina also had a vaccine event, which got even more vaccine doses into our community, and I'm thankful for their hard work and organization. I ask everyone in our community to continue to practice the 3 W's. Wear a mask, wait 6 feet apart, and wash your hands often. We're getting close to the next normal, so let's not let up now. I'd like to recognize Town Manager Page in case she has any comments, please.
Yes, sir, and I'm going to surprise him, but if Brandon could just provide an overview of the FAQs and the minutes from the retreat, and then Aaron's going to follow with some information on a legislative agenda.
Yes, sir. So earlier this afternoon, you received an email that has minutes from the 3 different days of the retreat back at the end of February. Those have been compiled by staff. Would ask you to please review those as you have the opportunity. Would ask you to respond back to Town Clerk Smith no later than next Tuesday. The earlier, the better. But if you have audits or edits, by next Tuesday, so that those can then be included in the agenda packet that would go out Wednesday or Thursday, so that you would have it as a consent item at the meeting on the 27th. Also, it provided you an FAQs document that follows up on specific questions posed of different presenters from the council retreat, and then also has, I believe, 6 general follow-up points at the end. So would ask you to also review those, and you can contact me if you have any questions or follow-up in regards to the FAQ document. Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron?
Ms. Hudson?
You're not rid of me yet. So you all get a bi-weekly legislative update from me, and if you've looked at that recently, you'll notice that spreadsheet is growing. It contains a lot of legislation that we essentially look at and determine what could be impactful to the town in any area. There are lots of bills coming through, and a lot of them are aimed at sort of narrowing or limiting development authority. Myself, planning and inspection staff all sort of look at these pretty regularly and monitor them. We've also consulted with Frank on a handful of them just to make sure we have a clear understanding. I do not profess to be a legislative expert, so I may read something and have a different interpretation than planning staff or inspection staff, and we just want to make sure we're clear and giving you all clear direction. Please be sure you're reading these every couple of weeks when they get sent out. We are going to be working together and adding a short sort of one-pager to the end of your news and notes that's going to be coming to you towards the end of this week that really just highlights those really super critically important bills that you want to be paying the closest attention to that could have the most impact to Morrisville as we understand them. And from that point, we really just want to do a quick check-in with you all and see if there's interest in reaching out to our Wake delegation co-chairs, Senator Nickel and Representative Von Hafen, for a opportunity for a virtual meeting just to check in on some of these critical bills, and is there anything more we need to be doing, anything they need from us, anything you all may have questions on that staff can follow up on for you. Really just wanted to touch base with you all really quickly and sort of get a check on that, and staff is happy to coordinate, or if you all want to kick it to staff and have us coordinate with them, we're happy to do so as well. But just want to make sure we're getting you the information you need so nothing takes us by surprise.
I think I could probably speak for the council that we'd be very interested in getting another meeting with them, just to do a check-in, let them share with us what they see coming down the pike, because I know some of these bills, there's no way they're going to pass, but some of them might. So they would probably have a really good feel, and you're already in communication with the league, and they're really good about trying to give us alerts about items that are really problematic. So that's very helpful, and these updates that you're giving us are really important too. So can we give staff direction to go ahead and try to set up a virtual meeting, check in with them, like we've done in the past with those chairs? I'm seeing head nods.
I would say yes. I think reach out to them and ask them, and hopefully we could schedule something. I think that there are some very important bills.
Yes.
So yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments? I see head nods on that. So.
And if okay with you, what we'll sort of aim for is getting their availability and coordinating with at least the mayor and mayor pro tem, and certainly all council is welcome, but at least see if we can get the two of you and any other council who would like to participate in that.
Yeah, ideally all 7 of us can participate virtually. So, and yeah, depending on how much lead time, it might even be during the day, whatever works. So, you know, staff, herding us cats has always been the bane of your existence. So we really appreciate you taking the lead on that.
Yeah, we will do our best to coordinate schedules and see what we can get as soon as we can.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Ms. Hudson?
No, just thank you for your efforts, Erin. Thank you. It's important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we were scheduled for a break, but I think we can go for a bit more. This is only a 30-minute work session. There is one work session on tonight's agenda, a bond referendum ballot preview and next steps discussion. Amy Hooks, Director of Management Services, will facilitate.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's good to see some of you here, and I can't wait to see those that are working remotely with us maybe the next time. Oops. All right. So I hope Council found, I'm going to jump right in. I hope Council found the supplemental information helpful after our last conversation, and some time for you to think through and absorb the information that was sent to you. So tonight's discussion is going to be really focused and purposeful, and it's meant to really help us move and take that next big step forward in our bond referendum process. So Martha and I are going to tag team a little bit. I'm going to give her a chance to sort of set the stage with some comments for how to get started tonight, okay?
So I would tell you that you got closer and closer to your full consensus on how you wanted to proceed with a bond referendum at our March 16th virtual work session. I'll say weren't ready to take the leap of faith at that point in time. Since that meeting, I've spoken with each of you individually, and I would tell you you're there. In all of my individual conversations, you all talked to me about the same things, what you were looking for, what you were seeking, what you were wanting back from the community engagement plan. And the recognition of the fact that we know we're going out to the community to ask for a lot, but we're asking for what we're hearing the community is seeking. And the difference between a 2-cent increment and a 3-cent increment, we want to demonstrate that to the community, but it's nominal for the additional opportunity to get some of the things in one package that are not in the other package. So I would tell you, you were all at 3 cents. You were all at the same bond referendum categories. You were all at the same proximate projects that you want to share and get additional information with the community. So I tell you, take ownership and pride that I think you have gotten there. I don't think there's a lot of talk left there. We do need to get out there very quickly to reaffirm that for you. And Jeannie's going to talk about what that plan is. But we want you to move forward. You need to move forward tonight. If you hear something from the community that gives you pause, then we have another opportunity to address that. You don't want to send mixed messages to the community, this or that, or what do you want? You want to share what your message is, and I'm telling you, you are there. So I'm going to just ask you to keep that in mind as Jeannie walks through the rest of her presentation. And then both she and I are happy to answer questions.
Okay, so with total debt investment, and that's what we're talking about here, is investing in the community and leveraging it for good things that will give benefit to everyone. Our overall debt capacity, our forecasting, that's forecasting, we're projecting forward based on snapshots we know now and what we can anticipate. It indicates we have the potential for approximately $56 million worth of investment. Now that's total debt. That's leveraging bonds as well as installment financing. So I need you to keep that in perspective, because what I'm going to ask you to do in a minute is to focus specifically on one, because there's decisions that have to be made to move forward. So $56 million cycled in over the next 5 to 6 years. That's really what our model was indicating. We have the capacity and the potential to do that at the 3-cent tax increment that allows us to raise revenue, to be able to invest back in the community, to get these good things. So this degree of investment, as I mentioned, it's multiple funding strategies that are really working together. It's not just debt financing, bond financing, installment financing, but it also has some grants floating in there for several of the projects. So other types of sources can be pulled in and leveraged. And it's important to be aware that this is that big picture moment. This is what we want to invest in as big picture. But it's something that we reassess every budget year. What does our debt capacity picture look like? As you know, the model was based on a very conservative basis. And you heard our financial advisor say, each year as we get new information, new performance, we might be able to improve the outlook. So that's something staff will continuously do as we move forward in trying to implement this big vision and investing in the community. So here's where I ask you to focus. Focus on the reality of what we're asking the community is we want to be able to leverage bond dead. So those are the decisions we need to make, or the decisions that I think we're affirming tonight that you've made. So Bond Counsel, they have prepared, and you've seen this a couple of times now. Bond Counsel has prepared a draft ballot language, and we're working to prepare really that formal bond order that's going to come forward in June that will identify what the ballot questions are. So this is the draft. This is what we're working with, and the language that would be adopted potentially in June. So as I work with them to make sure that this is it, we'll be bringing back that formal instrument the first meeting in June, so you can hear it, and then we'll have an adoption at the last meeting in June. So what I'm saying to you is you have another chance to look at it. Though we do need to move forward in reaching out to the community with something. What is council interested in doing? And that's what we're going to ask you about tonight, or talk about tonight. So once the bond order is adopted in June, the ballot language and the amounts not to exceed are set. So just remind you of that. So June's been that hard deadline we've been trying to meet. So that's at the point that we transition really from what is an informal process to a formal process. So I will note that we have made some adjustments based on council's last feedback and your decision to go with 3 ballot questions: public safety, parks, and streets. And in doing that, and recognizing that you took action to actually reimburse yourself for the land acquisition for the fire station, we've incorporated that and we've adjusted some of the numbers as a result. The other thing that we heard you say is we needed to move Crabtree Nature Park back up. So we've been working with the financial advisors to be able to do that. So those are some of the adjustments, and it's gotten us to an amount not to exceed of around $37 million. Now with bond, you want to make sure you go out and ask for the maximum you think you can afford and you have capacity for. So that's what the $37 million represents for your bond referendum. So you have room and flexibility to work within that number with each one of the categories and the amount that is requested for each category. So these are the bond projects that staff and council, I believe, we've been working and talking about that would align to each one of those bond categories at a 3-cent increment. Now, the following 2 slides, they really illustrate at an estimated level of what the possible impacts would be on various household sizes. So we used $750,000 value home, because we have that in Morrisville. We used a $350,000 home. That's your median home value currently. And we used a more modest, which is $250,000, which would probably represent some of your condo units and your townhomes. So the monthly value that I do show here is just for council's context. It's just breaking down and looking at it in a different lens. But with that said, I wouldn't want to diminish really that annual household impact that folks would be looking at, because you don't pay your property taxes on a monthly basis. You pay it each year. But it is just a different way to look at it or slice it. So at this point, I would say Wake County, we are going to stay in tune with Wake County just to have an understanding of what they're doing. I think at this time we're not anticipating Wake County raising taxes, but we'll keep in touch and make sure that's part of our conversations as we move forward with the budget and with our conversation with bond. So before I leave these 2 slides, so the next slide is simply a comparison of that same cost at a 2-cent increment. So before I leave both of these slides, I think what I would just offer council is to remind you that council establishes the tax rate every year. You have that authority and responsibility with the development of a budget and a capital CIP every year to reassess that. So I just want to remind you that you get to look at all of this in multiple times and layers as we move along and we realize changing influences and potential opportunities. So let me walk through this particular slide. I have taken a stab at really trying to break apart what does this investment look like in terms of annual debt service payments, and what are we using as the resources, or reusing in some cases, to be able to afford this big picture, this big investment vision we're looking at. So in the slide, it demonstrates really that long-range annual debt service over a 10-year period. I could have taken it out further, but you probably couldn't read it at that point. But I do have it going out to about 2045, I believe it is in the model. So it includes both debt, in this picture, both debt assumptions and future installment financing based on the financial advisor's last debt capacity model that we've been using. It's important to note, as a part of the overall strategy and how the town plans to reinvest, and this is the key part of it, reinvest our retired debt. And you'll see that actually as part of this teal right here. So we're reinvesting every year as debt retires off. That's from existing debt. We're going to repurpose it and reuse it for new debt. That's a great strategy to be able to have your operating budget expect really a same level of debt that your growing revenue sources typically expect to pay for, and continuously putting it back towards debt. In past years, it's always kind of gone in the pot, and it's been available for growing operations and or debt. So it could have been used for anything. But we made the strategic decision to make sure that if we had it booked for debt at this level, that we sustain that and reuse it year over year for debt. It's a great strategy to help you have capacity and affordability in the future. The other item that I want to show you is really as you have a debt reserve that we accumulate with the tax increment and the retirement of debt, we accumulate some debt reserve, and we're going to repurpose that as a part of the equation over that 5-year window, and that's the purple. Now for the portion that's really attributed, as I calculated or tried to break this down, the portion of the new debt that's really attributable to the 3-cent tax increment is the area shown in green. And you'll see that it goes from $2 million upwards to about $2.4 million. So that's your equivalent of your current rate of, I think, $620,000 per penny. So that's really what that represents, 3 pennies. So now let's talk about these critical milestones. You've seen this chart before. I have made a little bit of an adjustment here. And that's based on your feedback from the last time that we talked. And that's your interest in getting some additional feedback from the community as we roll out this 3-cent tax increment, this level of bond investment, and overall debt plan that we're looking at. You want to hear and have an intermediate public engagement opportunity and outreach. So staff's worked very hard to pull something together and get things going. So let's just go right into it. What would that look like, and what would be the time period? So as I said, staff's going to work between April 19th through May 14th on what's called an intermediate communications strategy. This is where we're going to hit it hard and fast. Will and his team's done an excellent job and working quickly to grasp all these details. And that's why this tonight is so important to be the catalyst to that, to be able to go out to the community with information and start pulling some more feedback to council. And they're going to roll out and deploy this intermediate communications campaign and start being able to do that. So they're going to reestablish the website as a central source of detailed information based on what we have shown you tonight, the 3 cents tax increment, the impact on the household. We'll have all that information, the type of projects that we would potentially align to it for the bond referendum, and the designated bond categories that you agreed to, public safety, parks, and streets. So what we're doing here is we're effectively transitioning to, instead of deciding what's happening, to educating and informing and checking with the community on what their tone and tenor might be. And that's a critically important information to council to get information back. That's what we heard you say and that you expressed interest in, so that before you finalize your ballot, your bond order, that if you needed to adjust or shift, you have that opportunity. So any feedback that we attain between April 19th through May 14th, we'll return that information to you on May 20th, as quick as we can. Now, one of the key things here that I have on the front is called advocacy. And that's something we're working on right now that's really going to be critically important, not just for this intermediate plan, but really for the whole bond referendum process. Because you want to build community partners and have folks in the community that will advocate for you and on your behalf, because you as an entity and as council, you legally can't go out and use public funds to say, vote yes. But we have community partners. If they buy into this, if they see what your vision is and feel it's important and value the investment that you're wanting to make, then they're going to advocate for you on your behalf. And we want to make sure that we tap into that resource. So we're going to be preparing what are called advocacy kits, kind of that DIY kit where we give you the resources and the tools and help you understand what the vision is, and they can spread the word. So that could be homeowner associations, committee members, specific people that we know are critical players in the community that we always see at the table. We want to invite them in. We want them to be a part of it. So staff, what we're going to do is we're going to follow up with an email to council, because we want to hear from you who you think, a few people you might think are important. We want to make that a part of the process. So overall, these are the key components. And if he's online, he could speak up or speak for this. Will has between now, April 19th through May 14th, literally planned out as to what he's going to roll out and when, and engaging all of our resources as best we can to educate, inform, and to take that temperature and that pulse of the community on how they feel about your vision to invest in the community.
Engaging all of our resources as best we can to educate and inform and to take that temperature and that pulse of the community. Thank you.
That's me. I have a little reverb somewhere, I think. So staff's prepared to move forward with the following information. Really your bond referendum categories as previously identified, investing $8 million in public safety. So that's for the land reimbursement and the construction of the facility, the design. Parks and recreation and amenity improvements, 17.3. That's for future parks, land and open space, That's for other types of park enhancements and amenities, Crabtree Creek Nature Park, and Morrisville Community Park. All those things that the two park projects in particular that you've spent money on to create shovel ready, so that they're ready for a bond referendum. And then streets, sidewalks, and connectivity at $11.7 million. So that's Airport Boulevard Extension Phase 1. We have grant monies there. We have $3 million in sidewalk connectivity. Those are those gap projects that you want to advance. And then some other monies for leveraging to get additional grant-funded dollars in the future for future connectivity and improvement. So with that, it really is affirming council's consent to move forward with the 3-cent tax increment and a total bond amount not to exceed $37 million. So with that, I think I'll kick it back to Martha. Any final thoughts before we open up to questions? Okay. I'll entertain comments. Thumbs up from the mayor. Any questions from our remote participants? Okay. Silence is golden.
Can I just say thank you? Thank you for putting this plan together. I appreciate the April 19th to May 14th plan.
You're welcome. And again, it's a lot of people involved. Will couldn't have done it without him. And I hope he's listening because he's going to work really hard for you guys, he and his team. And of course, Martha always.
I think that'll be really beneficial to some of the angst you heard, and then as far as getting feedback from the community, but it'll also be a great opportunity to start educating the public too.
Right,
so
exactly.
It's a double-edged sword, so that's good.
And staff will continue to work with our financial advisors and refine the logistics behind the scenes. But this is your big vision, and we're excited for you.
Councilmember Rowe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really excited about Will's team and the communication strategy because I'm looking back at how we did this. I can't even imagine, he hasn't been with the town that long, not to get too, sing your praises too much, but Will, if you're listening, I mean, we've come so far in such a short time with the way we communicate. And I think now with everything we have in place, with the social media, with the Twitter, with the engagement platform, I think that my expectations are going to be very high that we are going to just blow it out of the water. No pressure, Will, with engagement, because we didn't have any of that in 2012, right?
Right.
So, and I think that even though we're not going to have the chance to do as much in person, I think that we've done such a good job with embracing digital technology and social media to push our message out that, hopefully it won't, I'm hoping that we can have even more engagement just because people are at home and they can come in on, so I'm be curious as to his plan. I'm already thinking of the things that he's going to do, but no pressure. I want 40,000 people or 30,000 people wanting to come in and vote for this bond. So, thank you.
Thank you.
So this is great. So we're not going to hear back so much until May 20th? Is the next check-in on bond pretty much?
Yes, sir. I believe so on the rolling calendar.
Yeah, that is correct. That we had already, as I potentially scolded some of you, we lost 6 weeks to getting some information, waiting to get to this meeting. So we don't want to shorten that window any further. You will be part of this phase because you will be getting a package of information to share and make sure people are aware and are commenting. So you will get packages of materials to share. I've asked for safe in-person with big picture opportunities that may not be our primary mechanism, but I hope are a part of the communications plan. The pictures say a lot, and you lose some of that on a website. So we're trying to hit those multiple strategies, and Will and his team are working on that. But you are an important part of making sure people are aware we want to hear from them in this stage.
That's great. That was my next question. How can we support it, and what role do you want for us? So this will be a really good warm-up for the actual bond referendum promotion that we will do individually.
That's a good way to look at it. Yes, sir.
So I think this
I would
is
say
a
so.
wonderful opportunity. So thank you very much
Mhm.
for all the work that you've done, gotten us to this point. Martha, thank you very much for aggregating all of our thoughts and being the facilitator of bringing us all to the same place. Very helpful. Really appreciate that. We're moving forward with a really important step. Ms. Hicks, final words on this one?
No, again, just very excited for you that you're taking this step with the community, and I look forward to hearing what they say and moving this process forward so that we can realize some really tangible, beneficial projects for all, really, in those three major categories. Even though a bond referendum is really all about the voter authority to get access to this type of debt instrument at the end of the day for the citizens, it is what are you investing it in that's important. So thank you.
I'm pretty sure we're all confident we're giving them what they want. And we're just telling them what the price tag is and moving forward.
That's right.
Okay, great presentation. Thank you both. So there is nothing on the agenda other than adjournment after our next item, which is a closed session. So at this time, we would like to thank you for watching this meeting of the Morrisville Town Council. We hope you plan to join us again. Please feel free to email your town council members at towncouncil@townofmorrisville.org or visit www.townofmorrisville.org/council for additional contact information. I want to ask real quick, does staff have anything for the good of the order before we go into closed session? Okay. We have one closed session this evening to discuss the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease. At this time, I would ask for a motion to enter into closed session. Recognize Councilmember Rao.
Mayor and council, pursuant to North Carolina Statute 143.318 and 11A5, I move that we go into closed session for purposes of discussing a real property acquisition matter.
And I have a second from Councilmember Fender. Town Clerk Smith will now facilitate our roll call vote.
Councilmember Fender.
Aye.
Councilmember Garamella.
Aye.
Councilmember Rao.
Aye.
Councilmember Robati.
Aye.
Councilmember Scroggins Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Aye.
Mayor Cawley.
Aye.
The motion to enter closed session passes unanimously.
Okay. It is 9:50. We are in closed session at this time. The live meeting broadcast will now end. I would request